Hello everybody, welcome into our latest live stream. It's Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025. I'm Carey Holzman, and today, what are we doing today? We've got a mini PC here, still shrink wrapped in the box, fresh from Amazon, that contains Linux. Because there's no Windows license on it, it's a little bit cheaper. Of course, once we put Windows on it and then pay for a license, well, it might not be so much cheaper, but still should be a fun project and a different offering, since this particular mini PC is unique in its design, and they don't offer it, as far as I know, with Windows. So if we want this PC with the operating system we want, then this is how we have to do it. Of course, if you like Linux, it's already ready to go out of the box with Linux pre-installed. We're a Windows channel, we're not a Linux channel, so if you're interested in Linux, there's plenty of other channels to choose from. And if you want to learn more about Windows, you're in the right place. So welcome in, and I see a bunch of people in the chat room already joining us. Let's see and say hello to everybody. David Graham says hello, and there's, of course, Mara, our channel administrator, hanging out in there. Eddie Casanova says hello. There's a 10-pound super chat from our friend Buster. He says hello, Carey and Marlena and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh right now is 57 degrees Fahrenheit, or 88 degrees, sorry, 13.8 degrees Celsius. Good to see you, Buster. Thank you for your super chat. I see Luke Greeny and Mark Baggett and Ben Laird joining us, as well as Jose Lopez and Andy Kane saying hello. There's Phil Stodd, Dustin Fuller, Thomas MacT, Andy W6AD saying hello. Sean Skinner joined us in the chat. I also see Dennis Hill saying hello. Frank Jimmy says happy belated birthday. Thank you, Frank. Richard DeFries joins us, says hello. Michael Lavelle joining us. Mortant is joining us. Paul O'Brien says hello from Ireland. I think I got hellos in. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this because, because these live streams are unscripted and unrehearsed, and I'm working with hardware sometimes I've never ever seen before. I've never seen this mini computer before in my life. I don't know about any reviews that exist on it. This is all a brand new experience for me. Now, if you want to do technical work for a living, then this is par for the course of a field service technician. For many, many years, for decades, my job was to handle whatever a customer had. Also, I've got corporate experience where more or less the corporation had maybe one or no more than 3 models of computers throughout the entire corporation, meaning, a company like Intel has 30, 40, 50,000 employees, maybe more. And they'll use a series for the employees of about 3 different models. So once you know those 3 models, it's all pretty routine from there. And a lot of it's just swap it out, get the employee back to work, and then take it back to the bench for later diagnostic. And then that's 2 different jobs. There's the IT department that handles the support ticket. There's the desktop technician that goes and replaces the desktop as need be. And then there are the bench technicians that don't do any face-to-face with the customers, and they just figure out how to fix these computers, send them in for warranty, destroy the hard drives if needed. These are all full-time positions, all combined together to work as a team. And it's very different from being a field service technician. If you're a service technician for Dell or HP, they make hundreds of different models, all within their warranty. And so when a customer calls, and you might be a local contractor to service HP on their behalf, you represent HP, but you don't work for HP. It's very strange. And then you get to submit your billing, and you have to fill out every form exactly right, or you don't get paid. They will kick the form back to you if you didn't dot the I's and cross the T's. If you left a field blank or you didn't submit it on time, you don't get paid. So, there's a very different spirit to working in the field. And I really like to bring that forward in my videos because I don't see it very often. There's a few other content creators, very few, that do actual work in the field and still have time to make videos. So you know our good friend Doug Betts, our friend Scott Merrill over at Ask Your Computer Guy, um, Mike said he's retired now, but Mike's Unboxing, Repairs, and How To. And there were two gentlemen I reached out to and asked if they would join me because I've never talked to them before and I really like the work they're doing. And one is DLM Tech Garage, and the other is Matt's Computer Services. And I confused them. So the other day I mentioned we were having Matt on from DLM. No, Matt is from Matt's Computer. It's right in the name, Carey. I don't know how I screwed that up. And then we're still talking with DLM to see if we can work out a time. But at this point, there's nothing scheduled. But I'm very much looking forward on Thursday to bringing on Matt from Matt's Computer Services. And if you've not checked out his channel or DLM Tech Garage, they're great content from my perspective because they're getting paid to do the work, and they've been doing this for at least a few years. And that makes them experts from the way it was defined when I was starting out. And whether you're self-employed or working for somebody else, it's really just about, are you getting paid to do the job, or are you paying to do the job? You could pay money to go to Disneyland and have a great time, or you could get paid to go to Disneyland if you work there. And it's a very different perspective. And so YouTube represents that example quite well, in that if everybody brings their camera and films their Disneyland experience as a customer, in other words, they're spending money to be there, then YouTube is flooded with those videos. But if somebody working for Disneyland who's paid to be there brings a camera, those videos are few and far between. And so I find it similar that real working technicians making YouTube videos, people that work and get paid and are held accountable for the work that someone else pays them to do, who also make videos compared to somebody who's just having fun at home, that would be the best way I would describe it. They're not the same. Working at Disneyland for money is not the same as paying money to go to Disneyland. It's two very different things. And I'm just trying to balance the scale a little bit more so that the average viewer, if they're not aware of this, they don't think about it. They don't think, oh, wait a minute, who's paying for all this? What happens if it breaks? Is this something I should be taking advice? Is this someone I should be taking advice from, or should I not be taking advice? Because if you can't tell the difference between entertainment and work, you might end up causing your own grief, and I don't want you to do that. I mean, I'm assuming you don't want to do that, but my first goal is to make sure you understand the difference of the content you're watching. And then when we add AI into the mix, holy cow. I was trying to find a genuine review, just to give you an example, on GMK Tech's newest computer called the Evo X2. It's like this $1,500 mini PC using the new AMD Strix 395 CPU. And I know Strix sounds like a Seuss, doesn't it? Anyway, all I can find are paid advertisements in AI. I cannot find a single genuine review. If you look on YouTube right now, search for the GMK Tech Evo X2, and you will see the same AI video over and over and over. Or you'll see videos of product images with AI narrated voiceover. Show me a video where somebody actually has it in their hands and their real name and their face. I've never found one. There's commercials created by real content creators that make ads, but they never have anything critical to say about their review. That's not a review. They never show their face and they don't use their real name, and they're likely paid to make a promotional video. That I found. I'm sure GMK Tech wants all of you to see that. But what I'm looking for are actual people that have faces and names, that have the product in their hands. They're not just narrating on top of photographs, and it's coming from an actual voice, not an AI generated voice. And to show you how bad this is getting, if you just do a YouTube search for the GMK Tech Again, I think it's called an Evo X2, if I'm not mistaken. Good luck finding somebody standing in front of the camera and showing you the unit. You might find one or two, maybe, but they're buried. So hopefully, see, there's this part of me now that I want to right this wrong. It seems like the company's trying to cover something up, or they're just terrible at marketing. Because if it was me and I really believed in the product, I would send it to somebody with a good reputation that will review it for no expense, so that there can be an honest review. But they may not want an honest review. They may only want hype and nothing but hype. That's their choice and it's their company. But if it were me, I would want somebody who was trustworthy and honest, transparent, and genuine to review my product, because if that person says it's good, well, you know, that's something to boast about. And if that person says it's good, but it has room for improvement, that's still good. And if that person says it's bad, well, you probably don't want to hear that, but it's still there to help benefit the company, make the product more appealing or more valuable to the customer, potential customer. So they should want to hear it, but they don't always want to. So I don't know what's going on with that. I think the whole thing's really suspicious. So I might just buy one so I can review it. And if I don't like it, return it, because it's on Amazon, and you know, Amazon has free returns. By the way, you can do the same thing. You can go buy whatever you want on Amazon, as long as you're an Amazon Prime customer. You've got 30 days on most returns. Not food items, obviously, but most electronic items, if it's being sold by Amazon, has a free 30-day return for any reason, even if it's just because you changed your mind. And, you know, anytime I see this suspicious activity, it kind of pushes me over the fence. If I'm like, well, should I buy one or not buy one? And then I start seeing what other reviews are done, and I don't see any real reviews, or I found one buried, like I had to really search for it. And then I wonder, why is this so hidden? What's going on? It makes me very suspicious. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's just not normal. So I'm trying to figure out why. Do they not realize that, or is it done with intention? And so if I get my hands on one, then I can review it honestly and give you an honest opinion. And if I like it, I keep it. If I don't like it, I can return it. Same with this unit here. What I've got here is a small mini PC. And if we go over to the Amazon page for this, I don't know if the price has changed or you have to be a Amazon Prime customer to get the lower discount. But we're just verifying all the prices yesterday, and I do that on the laptop where I'm logged in. I'm not logged in down here because I don't want to expose accidentally any personal information, right, of my Amazon account history or anything, addresses and orders. So if I go over to my window capture here and pull up the Amazon page, this is the computer, and they offer two different versions of it: as 16 gigs RAM and 512 storage, or half as much, 8 gigs RAM and 256. Now, yesterday this was a $40 off coupon. Up here it says 20 off, and it says 20 off on this one too. Well, you know what? If there's $20 off on this one, that makes the price $119. And if there's $20 off on this one, it makes the price $138. So you're still looking at a $20 price difference, which is a really good deal to pay $10 more to double your RAM and another $10 more to double your storage. But what I saw yesterday, and again, maybe it's still there for Prime customers, is I saw a $40 off coupon here on the 16 gig and 512, and no coupon at all offered on the 8 gig. So if the 8 gig is $140 and the 16 gig is $158 minus 40, this comes down to $118.99. At $118.99, it becomes the cheapest mini PC with an N100 I've seen on Amazon, or literally anywhere. So these prices do seem to be dropping, but they're dropping slowly. Maybe by this time next year, these will be under $100. Maybe even by the holiday season. But it's not happening rapidly. And you'll notice this is a very unique shape. It's, what is it, 6 sides? Hexagon, hexagon is 5, right? This looks like it's got 6 sides. We click on the images here. Yes.
You have email.
Oh, I have email. Wonderful. Thank you. What do you call a six-sided? So five-sided is a hexagon. What's a six-sided? Anyway, you can see all the ports. We've got USB. We've got a couple HDMI. I got barrel power jack. We've got Ethernet, which is gigabit Ethernet. Another USB port, and it's RGB around the top if you're into that sort of thing. It's not gaudy. It's not terrible. And the N100, and it's made by that same company, Soayan, that we did the other Linux mini PC review on, that I got hung up on the driver. And again, you know, because we do the videos live, the way I had to figure that out was really the most difficult way I could have done it. Now that I've got that experience, this one I'm expecting will be smooth as butter because I know exactly what to expect more accurately. And this is how we learn, and this is why it's so important for me to show you the learning process, not to show you after I learned. The problem with showing people after you learn is you're not covering the misconceptions you had that caused you to need to learn. And your misconceptions are likely going to match someone else's who's going to just perhaps not believe what you're saying or not understand it or comprehend what you're describing. But if they watch it happen in real time and they're with you on it, or they're beating their head against the wall going, you're totally missing it, right? That's where the lesson stays. It's that memorable experience instead of just words flowing. And then 2 seconds later, you can't remember a word that was said. But you can probably remember experiences. So that is what ultimately ends up educating us, because it's okay to make a mistake. It's a very good thing. It shows you're learning. But if you're making the same mistake again and again and again, that's the opposite. You're not growing, you're not learning, you're not listening, you're not paying attention, you don't care. That's the thing you should be afraid of. You should be afraid of making the same mistake more than once, and certainly not more than twice. So it's not a big deal to make the mistake. It is big. It is a great accomplishment to acknowledge what the mistake is, what the correction is, and that's how we grow as human beings. So here we go. I'm going to unbox it. We're going to do our first time unboxing. I've, again, never seen this computer before. I don't see any reviews on this computer. I feel like we're doing something nobody else has done. If you like Linux, it's ready to go out of the box. But if you don't like Linux, you don't want Linux, and you'd rather have Windows, well, I'm going to show you how to do that today. Let me do a quick look here. What is a six-sided shape called? Oh, hexagon. Then what's a five-sided shape called? A pentagon? A hectagon? Hectagon. I can't hear. A pentagon. A four-sided would be a square, three would be triangle, and two, I think, would just be a stick. A straight line. They're polygons. So we got pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, and nonagon. You know what a nonagon is?
You know what they say, the mind, it's the mind that goes first.
I don't remember them saying that.
Yours is already gone.
You're assuming I had one to begin with.
Ah, this is true.
All right, enough of that nonsense. Let me take a quick look at the phone here. Oh, better get my glasses. And then we'll open this up. Oh, Frank Jimmy sends an Amazon gift card. He says, hope you enjoyed this gift card and you will find something you like for yourself or for the channel. Always enjoy your live streams and the content, and happy birthday. Well, right on. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Sorry, Frank Jimmy. You're right. I think I have lost my mind. Thank you, Jimmy Frank. Yeah, I don't remember. What did you tell me? All right. Well, thank you, Frank. And yeah, let's get on with the show. I did order parts for the case, the power supply, and the cooler to finalize the build we started on Friday, the mini ITX build, I decided to not use one of the cases I had, which is why I even did this whole thing to begin with. And I went with the G.Skill Mini ITX case, which apparently has been out for 4 years, and I had no idea G.Skill made a case. I found some reviews on it, and they're years old. I don't see anybody working on it recently, so at least my information will be fresh as far as, you know, how well is it aged? Are we going to have any issues? We'll find out on Friday as we complete the Mini ITX build, and if you missed last Friday's video, be sure and check it out, because that's the whole motherboard prep. All right, grab my knife. Here we go. Let me get a close-up of this here. It looks way bigger in the picture, doesn't it? Just to give you an idea, this is my mouse. So this is not very big at all. We've got a hello card, we've got a little documentation, and it's in the box with a little ribbon. I guess we just pull up on that. Oh, that's cool. Makes it easy to take out of the box. We've got some plastic to remove. Look at how thin it is. It's super tiny. So I guess this is the front with our USB port here. It looks like a microphone headphone jack here, power button there. Nothing here. This is our USB 3 and gigabit LAN. A couple of HDMIs and our barrel power connector, and that's the vent for the where the air is going to blow off the top of the CPU, and then 2 more USBs there, and we're all the way around. Underneath, not sure how this opens. Now, one thing that I make a rule of, is don't open up something that's brand new until you've tested it first. If there's anything wrong with this, and I did not first test it before I opened it, how do I know I didn't do something to it when I opened it? So before you modify or change anything, make sure it works. Then after you modify or change it, if it doesn't work anymore, you know it's because of something you did. But if I open this up right now to show you the bottom of it, and then I put it back together and turn it on for the first time, I will never know if I did something that caused that problem or if it was shipped to me that way. I'll never know. Now again, it's from Amazon and we could send it back, but if it's a problem I caused, you know, I'm not learning anything by, you know, recognizing I caused the problem, and I could just decide to blame the computer, and that's the way I'm going to protect my fragile psyche, is to not admit any responsibility or accountability. What I like that they've done here, I'd like to see Minis Forum do, that is they've drilled holes in the center of the feet so we could get to the screws. That's what I was just looking at, and I've strongly recommended this. Over here. Look at the feet have holes. And if you look in there, there's the screws, and then you just take that out and this whole bottom comes off. I'm happy to see that. I don't know who this company is. I don't know what kind of support you're going to get or not get. The price is right. We paid $119 for it after the coupon. And then underneath here, we have our power brick. And an HDMI cable. There is no VESA mount for this, which is fine. I don't use them anyway. Just to show you that's completely empty. And And of course, if you're buying equipment that's coming with stuff you're not using, it's adding to the cost of what you're paying. So if I'm paying for a Visa mount I'm not using, and you can give me a cheaper price by not including it, for me personally, I prefer not to have it, because it's only going to go back in the box and remain unused. And if I were ever going to the store, I would not go and pick something up and buy it and then never use it. Not on purpose. Let's get this plugged in and turned on. We'll make sure that it works, and we'll go from there. Now, this power cord, let's go back to camera 1. It's actually quite long. Normally, I don't like these power adapters because the cables are too short, but they did a pretty good job on this one. This does not say Soayan on it, so it would be very easy to confuse this power adapter with something else the end fits in, and that's not good for the power adapter, and it could burn up whatever you're plugging it into. Anytime I get one of these power adapters for any electronic item, I look to see if the name of the item is on the power adapter. If it isn't, I will get a silver Sharpie marker on a black item or a black Sharpie on lighter colors, and I will write down whatever it goes to. So for this, I would just write down S-O-A-Y-A-N, Soayan, because nothing on this says that. This says Tekka. Tekka is the company that makes the adapter. Soayan is the company that makes the mini PC. So if you don't do that, in years from now, you end up unplugging this and moving it or setting it aside, or maybe you're in a move and you've unplugged a lot of electronic items. Now you're unpacking in your new place and you've got a bunch of these and you don't know where they go anymore. It's a game of Russian roulette, literally, that you'll plug this into the wrong thing. The plug will fit. It's almost a universal size. But if the voltage is too high or the polarity is wrong, smoke will come out. You can just throw both things away. In most cases, you'll fry both. Usually the power adapter survives, but not always. So if you're willing to say, you know, the heck with it, I'll just try it, and you understand that if you're wrong, you're going to likely basically cook it. That's the worst thing that'll happen, is it could basically catch fire. It may not actually be a fire. You may just see smoke and have a terrible smell in the room for the next couple days. I don't know why you would do that. So be absolutely certain when you're plugging power adapters in, if you don't want to ruin the power adapter and you don't want to ruin the device you're plugging into, power adapters are relatively inexpensive compared to whatever you're plugging it into. Speaking of that, let's plug it in. And let's grab my HDMI cable down here. It's somewhere. Standing on it? I'm usually standing on it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. All right, HDMI cable. Doesn't matter which of the HDMI ports we use, just pick one. I need the keyboard and the mouse. Let me move this. I'm not going to plug internet into this. Not yet. Linux or Windows, doesn't matter. We just want to make sure this boots and works before we plug in flash drives or printers. You know, don't put the cart before the horse. Start with the basics. So if I hit the power button on this now, we do get RGB lighting up on it. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. Again, we can go back to camera 2. And now let's go to HDMI 3. And we should see it boot up. Well, it appears to have Ubuntu on it. And let me get back over here to the chat room while we're waiting. All right, user. So this is where we got hung up last time, because I don't know what the default passwords are in this stuff. Let me, Mark Gaines says, I used your link and won't let me send it. What do you mean you used my link and won't let me send it? Send what? Where? I don't understand. Oh, wait a minute. He says something earlier. What's going on with Amazon? I can't send an Amazon gift card. Same problem as before. Oh, you might contact Amazon. Has a live chat customer service. They've been really good when I've reached out to them, and see if they can help you with that. All right, let me get back over here. I got to go full screen to read this the way you guys see it. Oh, user. What is the user? Is it user? Password. Ubuntu. Is that what I learned from last time? No. Nothing. No. Admin. I guess I don't know how to log in. Maybe the name isn't user. I don't know. I don't know. Can I go back and change the username? No, it's definitely user. Is there a piece of paper that tells us the default login? Let's see. Quick installation after the plug. RAM and SSD. No, I don't see any documentation that tells you the login credentials. I guess you're just supposed to know through osmosis. If you're a first-time Linux user, good luck. This is not for you. Let's see. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. I'm going to wipe it out anyway, but I'll try password. Doesn't like that. It doesn't like Ubuntu. User. Guest. No, it's not letting me in. Ubuntu. No. Capital U, Ubuntu. No. I don't know how you're supposed to know. I don't know. There's no sticker on it. Frank Jimmy says, "You're welcome. No worries. I get my names mixed up all the time." Well, it's very, very understanding of you, Frank. Try the PC name. Soayan? S-O. How do you spell it? S-O-A or S-A-O? S-O-A-Y-A-N? No. Maybe with a capital S. S-A-O-Y-A-N. No. Ubuntu? No. Password? No. Capital P? Password. User? No. Leaving it blank? Nope. Let me do another search, because we got hung up here last time. Not that it matters, because we're going to wipe it out, but default login. Wrong keyboard. Default login Ubuntu. Well, the user Ubuntu might be mentioned. It has no default. What's the default username? That's from 2009. Come on. Default username is Ubuntu and the password is Ubuntu. Huh. The user does not exist by default. Well, everybody, all the online things say the default username is not user, but yet there it is. Username Ubuntu, password Ubuntu. Nope. User 1 2 3 4 5 6. Nope. Isn't that weird? How are you supposed to know? How would the manufacturer expect you to know without providing it? Let me take a quick look over at Soayan's. Well, I don't think Soayan has a website. SOA or SAO? SOAYAN default login mini PC. See if anybody's talking about it. Specific information about the default login credentials cannot be found. Admin and admin are commonly used, or administrator with a capital A. I mean, we're all over the map with all the possibilities. Consult the official documentation. There doesn't seem to be any for Soayan. I don't even see a website for them. Let me look one more time. SOAYA. I keep using the wrong keyboard. SAOYAN mini PC. Let's see what that pulls up. Somebody's got a Soayan here on a YouTube channel. No, that's a Geekom. That's not. I wonder if anybody left a review that maybe. No, there's no reviews. Okay. I am hitting walls everywhere I look here. Let me go back over here. Andy says Control-Alt F3 from the login screen. All right, let's give it a shot. I'm game. Control-Alt F3. What does that do? And then what? But Greenie says he sees the password as admin. Yeah, but we've been trying that. It did not work, unfortunately. So it got us to what? Let's see. Open source projector. Let's take a look at. Oh my gosh, I cannot even. I don't know what that says. Hold on. Let me walk up to the screen because I can't read that. No, it's just gobbledy. It's just foreign characters. I don't even know what language that is. Let me try Ubuntu here. And Ubuntu here. No. No. User. Blank. User and user. Password. User. Admin. No, nothing's working. So all the more reason to put Windows on this because it's really like basic information. You need a power cable, you need an operating system. You know what I mean? Like not having a login name and password on a card or a sticker or any information and no website for support. I don't. I have an email? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, our friend Buster. Buster sends a very generous Amazon gift card. He says, hello, Carey and Mara. Enjoy the gift, your friend Buster. Well, thank you, Buster. I've gotten gifts from Buster like every day for the last 4 days. Back off, he's my friend. Go get your own. He's a great guy. Thank you, Buster. All right. So we're going to forget the Ubuntu login because we're just wiping it out anyway. I know some people might want to know the details of what version of Ubuntu they put on there, but quite frankly, they might as well have not put it on, because even if we wanted to use Ubuntu, we'd have to reinstall it to get past that login, because they're not providing that login information. They just expect you to know. And if you don't know, that's your problem. I don't like that attitude at all. I hope it's just an oversight and not a stereotypical Linux perspective. When you go to the Linux communities, they quite often will determine whether or not you deserve to be there based on how familiar you are. And if you're not familiar, then you're not worthy to be there. I see that over and over and over again in the Linux community, and it frustrates me to no end that people are such jerks. Nobody was born knowing this. Somebody had to teach them. And now that they've been taught, now they think they're better, or you're not good enough. They become judgmental. And it's frustrating coming from a world of Windows, which is designed to be universal for everybody. And Linux is technically, it's really designed for the people that want something more technical, more control, and have more of a technical mindset. Windows was never designed for people with a technical mindset. It was made for just the average person. Same is true with Apple products. In fact, Apple sort of led the way in that, to be honest. Apple wanted computers to be available to everyone, regardless if they had any technical inclinations or not, that it would no longer be necessary. And so this dumbing down is how it's often seen. And they're not wrong. But if somebody is expressing interest into becoming more technical, in my opinion, you should embrace and encourage that, not send them away and, come back here when you at least have the basics. Where are they supposed to get the basics from? Who better to offer it than those technical communities? And it's beneath them. More often than not, it's a very common thing that it's beneath them. So it's just something I don't like about the Linux community, or a significant portion of the Linux community are very snobby. So I don't want to be a part of that community, and therefore I don't want to have anything to do with their operating system. That's, again, not representing all Linux users, but a significant stereotype Linux end user prevails online. And when that stops being stereotypical, then I'll reconsider. It's never happened in my life so far. It just keeps teaching the next generation how to act that way. And I don't expect that's ever going to change. There are exceptions. However, in my experience, those are exceptions. What the norm is you got to prove yourself worthy. I don't want to be part of a community that's got to prove myself worthy. I mean, just kindness is all you should need. So I'm just calling it as I see it. Let's get my Windows 11 media installer out. We'll plug that into any USB drive, and we're going to show you how you can easily reset any computer, regardless if it originally had Windows on it or not. And this is, of course, assuming that this computer is Windows 11 compatible, which I know based on the CPU it has that it is. If you're not sure, you just Google whatever CPU you've got, along with the words, is this Windows 11 compatible? And it will tell you. So, it's not like I just was born with this knowledge. I do it every day. And every day, I'm typically expanding on what I already know to things I don't know. If I already knew it all and I wasn't learning anything, I'd be bored and want to do something else. So don't get frustrated in the learning process. That's a natural part of it. And sometimes when you start feeling frustrated, the best thing you can do, listen to me, walk away. Go find something else. Go to the store, run an errand, go watch TV, relax a little bit. This can wait. When you're in a state of mind of frustration and you're being stubborn, it is a very difficult way to teach people, because their mind isn't open and they're too you're in your own head so much that you can't even see what you're doing to yourself. So have the self-awareness to recognize you're not being self-aware. And the best thing you can do is just let it go for now. Relax, get your mind off of it, be distracted with something else that needs your time and attention. And then, you know, as you're watching TV or doing something else, you might be thinking about it. And I promise when you come back the second time, you will likely be successful and you won't feel so frustrated. So there's no power light on this. I guess just the RGB indicates that the unit is on. I just noticed that. There's no power LED here. So the RGB light across the top, I guess, is the power LED. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just unplug it. I mean, I don't care if I corrupt an operating system because we're wiping it anyway. I still leave the internet left out. I'm still not plugging in any other flash drives, printers, anything like that. I'm still not opening this because I don't even know that it works. Sure, we got to a login, but what does that even mean? What if I get a blue screen or something? So once we install Windows and get all our drivers and everything looks good and happy, then I can open up the bottom of it, show you the insides, and then put it back together and turn it back on and make sure I didn't break it. So let's turn this back on. And this time I want it to boot, instead of to the internal drive, I want it to boot to the USB. And I'm not quite sure how to do that on this unit. So let me jump back over there and see if I hit delete a bunch of times on the keyboard. Will that let me in? Sometimes it's F2. Yeah, see, I missed it apparently. We'll get there. So I missed it. Let's Control Alt Delete. That's not working. I'm going to unplug it again. Wait a second, plug it back in, turn it back on. And I'm just guessing because, again, I don't see any documentation that's instructing us on how to get into a BIOS. So I'm going to start pressing F2 right now and see if that is any better. No, I'm still missing either the right key or the right timing. So I'm going to turn the unit off by holding the power button in. I'll just hold it in. There we go. And we'll turn that back on. And I'll start pressing F10 right now. I can work my way across those function keys. One of them's got to be the right key. And I just repeatedly press that. I'm not getting any text on the screen that, you know, many times on a post screen, a motherboard will come up and tell you press this for boot options and press that for BIOS. I don't see that here either, so I don't know the username. Without the RGB, I wouldn't know if it was powered on. And I don't know how to get into the BIOS. So we're off to a great start. There's a workaround for this also. However, I'm trying to do this in a way that is essentially the same as other mini PCs. The fact that it's got Ubuntu on it shouldn't change the BIOS at all. Andy recommends the escape key. All right, let's try escape. We'll turn this on and I'll start pressing escape over and over and over again. And let's see if we get any better luck here. I've never seen escape work to get into a BIOS, only to get out of one. But there you go. Andy's nailed it. He is correct. And that is probably one of the first times I have ever seen an escape key used as a BIOS entry. I would have never guessed that on my own. So thank you, Andy. Let's go over to my full screen projector here so I can see what we got in here. Yeah, there's our N100, and we have a bunch of information in here. Just want to flip through it real quick, and you can always go back and freeze frame if you want to read through any of those options. You do see TPM is in there, right? And LED control. Here's the thing. If we turn LEDs off, oh, I see. Breathe on blue, green, cyan, red, green, yellow, white, purple. Interesting. Kind of interested in red, blue, purple. All right. NVMe configuration. It says no device found. Well, that's a little scary. I wonder if it has a SATA drive in it instead of an NVMe. Let's see. Where would that be? Usually there'd be something for the installed drives. Not trusted hardware monitor. No. There, we were just there. NVMe, where's SATA? So it says we've got a hand store M.25 12 gig, but it does not tell us if that's NVMe or SATA. And usually somewhere in the BIOS, it will tell us what drives are connected. It's normally under, well, I would think under connectivity configuration. But I don't see it here. Advanced? Oh, wow. This is all for the Wi-Fi. Okay. I've never seen any of that before in a BIOS. Maybe that's not typically allowed in the United States. I don't know. Look at all that stuff. Fascinating. Let's see. We're going to just do the boot override. I don't know that I want to save any of this. Let's just do boot override to the UEFI. Save the configuration. I guess we'll save it. Why not? This time when it boots up, we should boot up into the Windows 11 setup, and we're going to go through this process no differently than any other computer. There's always consistency, and it's always the same if you want to get the same results every time. Don't make exceptions. Always follow the same rules. You'll always get the same results. What's interesting here is it did say Ubuntu under the screen there, like it's loading Ubuntu, and did not load from the drive I told it to. So we're going to try again. I don't know why that happened. So Control-Alt-Delete. Hold on, let me turn this off. I'm just holding the power button in until the unit shuts off. Turn it back on, and I'll start pressing Escape. And Windows 11 doesn't care if it's loading on a SATA drive or an NVMe drive. So that wouldn't preclude us from booting. So something else is missing here. So I'm going to start pressing Escape. I had not turned it on before. I thought I did. So it should be booting up now. Okay. And then, yeah, see how Escape will exit? That's usually what Escape is for, not for getting into it. So that's a weird choice. But I do see we have boot options here. And I want the boot override right here. So one more time, I just want to try the same thing and see if I get the toilet bowl down below. Should be trying to, yeah. So I don't know, maybe the save changes and exit overrode the boot override, ironically. So boot override must be the only thing you're making a difference of in the BIOS, I guess. And you know, for all I know, other BIOSes may do the same thing. So just a weird kind of a behavior there. So we're going to hit next, US keyboard, agree to everything. Next, we're going to say I don't have a product key, but I will be buying one from SCD Keys for Windows 10, and I will use that Windows 10 product key to activate Windows 11. I'll buy a Windows 10 Pro key. It's a couple bucks cheaper than a Windows 11 Pro key. But Windows 10 Pro keys work on Windows 11 Pro. Why? Because Microsoft wants to ease you into Windows 11, so they're not going to charge you for it. As long as you have a Windows 10 Pro, you can have Windows 11 Pro for free. As long as you have a Windows, it doesn't matter if it's Windows 10 Home, then you can have Windows 11 Home. If you have Windows 10 Pro, you can have Windows 11 Pro. It is free, and you don't need to install Windows 10. You only need the product key, and you can use that to activate one time, and it'll stay activated for the life of the computer, making your Windows 11 upgrade free, or at least in my case, the price of Windows 10, which is a couple dollars cheaper. A couple dollars cheaper may not mean much to you, but to me, when you're building, you know, a couple hundred computers a year, that adds up. All right, there's our license agreement. now we're looking at, hold on a second, there it is. Where I'm focused is on disk 0 because that's the bootable drive that has Ubuntu on it. And I want to delete every partition it has. We're going to completely erase this drive so that it's like new out of the box, without an operating system, without partitions, without formatting. And one by one, everything that says disk 0 here, I'm wiping out if it's got a partition. If disk 0 says unallocated space, then there's nothing to remove. Because there's a partition between unallocated space, the partition is sitting between two areas of the drive that are unallocated. When I remove this, then the whole thing becomes unallocated and there's no more division. So then we'll only have one disk 0. That's our goal. We want to get to one disk 0 that is unallocated space. That is a wiped out drive. If for some reason you have booted your Windows into anything other than disk 0, you're not following standards. It doesn't mean the police are coming for you, but you're going to have a different configuration than 99% of the planet. And you will have to follow different steps because you either did it wrong or you intentionally did it that way for some weird reason. And there will be other side effect consequences. I can't tell you what they'll be, but you will forever be doing things differently, especially regarding system maintenance and upgrades, because you did not follow the standard, which is allowed, but it's up to you now to know what you've done and to understand how you might need to modify other how-to videos to accommodate your digression from the norm. So disk 0 is where I always put Windows without exception, and there should never be more than one disk when you install Windows. That way you're not accidentally installing on the wrong drive. So temporarily disconnect any other drives. The only reason you see a disk 1 here is that is our USB flash drive that we have our Windows 11 media on. And you can tell by the size of it. So we want disk 0, unallocated space, we're good to go. We hit next, it's going to summarize. Hey, is this what you want to do? Everything's going to get wiped out? Yes, yes, yes. So give it just a second here as it's thinking. And in just a moment, we should get the confirmation. We're ready to install, so install. This install will be no different than any countless Windows 11 installs you've ever seen me do, or for that matter, Windows 10 installs. They're always the same. I cannot emphasize that. We do not deviate from the norm, because when we do, that means we become an exception when anytime somebody's trying to help us, we're not following the standards, and that makes somebody helping you more difficult to help you because they don't know you did that. In fact, you may not know you did that. But if you do know you did that, then do expect that you're always going to have to deal with that for the entire time you own that computer or until you change your configuration back to the norm. So decide what's right for you. I would never do that to myself. I would never have certain computers configured one way and other computers configured another, and then be able to maintain those computers equally while always remembering the different support requirements. It's way too difficult at scale. Everything needs to be the same for there to be any efficiency and there to be anything optimally, effectively making me money where I'm not holding myself voluntarily back for feelings of emotional reasons. That's the way I see it as a working computer technician that wants to stay in business. What individuals do to themselves is their choice, but when they want to hire a professional because they've gone in over their heads unknowingly, the cost to repair that is going to require more time to untangle it, and that's going to cost more money to that end user because they went around the norms. All right, so you choose for yourself, but I'm just explaining to you why I make the choices I make. And let me go back to camera 1, and what I'll do is I'll put it in a corner right up here, and that way we can watch the install take place. And let me go over to the chat room and see what you guys have on your mind. Oh, look, my Windows crashed. Not my Windows, my browser. That's frustrating. I still have that memory leak in the live chat. Marco joining us from Italy. Ciao, Marco. People are congratulating Andy Kane for having the right answer of the escape key. Dennis Hill said, "You won the internet." Thanks for the help, Andy. I really appreciate that. Peter says he's got no sound. I'm seeing sound going out, streaming out. I can see the audio. Everybody can hear me? Oh, okay, Peter. Buster says he's fixed it. Good, good, good. Okay, Ron Barnish joining us and says hello. And he says, glad I could help. I love it. Brian McMahon with a 10-pound super chat. Thank you, Brian. Aaron Werner joins us. Welcome in, Aaron. Bill Stodd saying hello. He says he uses Linux as his daily driver, and I'm not familiar with the latest Ubuntu distro. Sorry. We're wiping it out anyway. Mike Cardon says hello. Welcome into Mike. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for supporting the channel, all of you. And let's see. Yeah, at this point, we're just waiting for the install to complete. And then I'll show you how we're going to get the drivers for it. It's really easy, super easy. Normally, with a reputable mini PC manufacturer, they have a website you'll go to and download the drivers. Soayan isn't following that standard. They apparently don't have any website, therefore they don't have any support. You're kind of on your own, just like if you bought it at a garage sale. But that also means they don't have those expenses, so they don't have to charge as much money. So you can get this cheaper than competitors who do offer even so much as a website with downloads. It still costs money. Where does that money come from? It comes from the sale of the products. Support costs money. If you can eliminate support, you could significantly cut the cost of the product. Significantly. You know, we're seeing upwards of a $30 savings, $30 to $40 savings for no support. If that's worth it to you, it's just like a garage sale. Maybe you pick something up at a garage sale that's cheaper than getting it at a retail store. There's no returns, sold as is, you're on your own, no support, you figure it out. As is. This is one of those as is situations, except by purchasing it from Amazon. If you change your mind, you can always send it back to Amazon if you don't like it within 30 days. And that way you have the freedom to, you know, take your time. If you need more than 30 days to decide, well, I'm just going to break it to you, you like it. Okay, if you can't figure out if you like it or not, then you like it. We're just about getting ready to set up the user account here on Windows 11. Now at this point, it's done with this flash drive. I don't need to keep this flash drive plugged in. I can just remove it now. In fact, after the first boot, it doesn't use this anymore. And when I go through this process, I want to make sure I am not connected to the internet. And I can't emphasize that enough. And I can't tell you how many people don't listen, or they forget, and they wonder why they're not getting on their screen what I'm getting on mine. And it's because they've left it plugged in, or they are signing into the internet when it asks you. If you do that, then you need to follow someone else's video if you don't know what you're doing. If you follow it exactly the way I show it, you must have that internet disconnected when you boot to that, you're installing Windows. It needs to happen first, have it disconnected, then install Windows. If you're in the middle of a Windows install and you're like, damn it, I forgot, shut it off. Just pull the cable, pull the power cable, Unplug your internet, start over again. Don't try and patch it up, because now you've got basically an unstable installation, potentially. So start over. Do it right the first time, and if you didn't do it right the first time, then shut it down and do it for the first time again. We're not going to call it the second time. It would only be the second time if you just stubbornly went through with it because it's too much trouble to start over. In which case, maybe hire somebody else to do it for you. You're not qualified for it if you think that's a big deal. I wish that was as hard as my job ever got. But take it or leave it, that's my advice. If I forget, and I sometimes do, pull the plug, unplug the Ethernet, start over from the beginning again. That way I ensure every install is exactly the same without exception, and I should not have to repair anything brand new. So I don't want to have to go back and fix it. Let me turn off camera 1 here so that way you can follow along with me. This is the same series of answers that I always follow. So United States. Boy, it seems like it's looking for internet there. US keyboard, no secondary language on my keyboard. Some people have multiple languages. Now it's looking on the Wi-Fi. Let's connect you. Note, let's not. So I'm going to click down here. I don't have internet. Even though I do, I'm going to lie to it. This way I can create a local account, which I'll call user, and leave the password blank. I turn off everything but location settings. This is going to make sure my date and time are corrected for me constantly through daylight saving or just from regular minutes and seconds that are lost on a regular clock over time. It'll regularly synchronize to the internet time clocks, and that way I never have to worry about it. You never saw me even so much as look at the date in the BIOS because I don't waste my time. This is not 15 years ago. Modern computers and modern operating systems don't need you to do that anymore. Now, when we get to this final screen here, it does it takes all the settings that it's asked us questions on, and it starts plugging those into Windows to configure it the way I want it, and I always configure it the same for everyone on every machine. Laptop, mini PC, desktop, doesn't matter. This is always the same. Now we're going to be missing some drivers. We can do one of two things on that. We can immediately go for the drivers first, which I think would be a mistake. Or we can plug into the internet, hit up Windows updates, and see how much of the drivers Windows will provide for us. Let that take a few minutes. When it reboots, see what's left over in the device manager, if anything, that still requires a driver. And those leftovers, the ones that didn't happen automatically through Windows Update, those are the ones I'll go and get. I don't want to grab the items that can be delivered to me without me having to lift a finger. And how would I know what those are if I don't do that first? So this is the logic behind the reasoning from the advice I'm giving you, coming from my experience as a working computer technician, where there's only so many hours in a day and I can only make so much money per hour. So if I want to make as much money as possible and I want to help as many people as possible, I need to have a process that is consistent and the same. And then I can have a consistent and same income level and average time I need to schedule for whatever work needs to be done. I at least have an idea. It's not just a random guess every single time a customer needs help. So what I need to do first and foremost is, let me go back here for a second and turn on camera 1. Since now you've seen all that, now I can plug in my internet connection. So let me do that. Now on some brand new builds, you may have a network interface card that's so new that Windows, it's not built into the latest version of Windows. And if that's the case, I have a USB to Ethernet adapter where those drivers are built into Windows. Do I need that? Let's find out. Let's plug it in. Let's watch the bottom right corner and see if it starts to identify. It is, so that driver is loaded. So I don't need to use my little USB thing. I didn't have to look in the device manager. I don't have to do the research. Do the work, and you don't have to do the research. Through the work, the answers come much faster and more accurately than you trying to jump ahead of it. I'm telling you, as a person trying to earn a living, you're wasting your time, you're taking too long, and you're working harder than you need to. When you're just working on one computer at home and that's all you got going on, have fun. When you're trying to earn a living and customers are looking at their watch going, hurry it up, that's painful to watch somebody have to go and look for answers when all they had to do was plug this in. So we know that works. We're going to hit Windows Update right now. In fact, the minute we plug that in, it's already started to download updates in the background. I guarantee it. Let me go back over to my full screen here so I can see the full desktop. There it is. And then I'll just, well, first thing, I don't like this 4K resolution. If I can right click and go to display settings, can I set that to 1080? No. Why not? Because the video driver is not installed. Well, then how are we getting video? This is a default generic video driver that is not specific to our card. So it does work, but it doesn't give us any controls or manipulation or granular detail. It's very basic. It's the most basic driver. Without it, we wouldn't be getting any screen. Once we put the driver in, this will likely come in from Windows Update. You'll see the screen go black during the update and come back again. It'll flash. Then this setting will be available to us. Again, we don't have to look in the device manager because we just know if it works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we don't have the driver. We have a generic driver. So let's do this. Let's go to Windows Update by going to Settings. And then we'll go to Windows Update here. And I'll check for updates. And then I'm going to turn this option on. I'm going to go to Advanced Options. And I'm going to turn on this one, and this one. We're going to go back. And when this finally gets done scanning, you'll probably see it's been in the process already. And well, I don't see that here. I'm also not walking away from it and giving it a minute. So it will do this on its own whether you like it or not. And it may not even tell you it's doing it. It'll just run in the background. And I would rather initiate it and audit it myself and trust in it to do it eventually. While I'm waiting, there's a couple things I like to change, like this little icon I don't like. I type in search permissions. In there, right there, search permissions and history comes up. I scroll down to more settings to turn that off. And that little cartoon item down there goes away. I also check the power settings because I don't want the monitor turning off or going to sleep while we're live. So I go to the power plan to see how it's set. See, it's going to turn off the display after 5 minutes. And that throws me off on a live video that I don't know if is it rebooting, is it loading a driver, or did it go to sleep? So I've learned to check that uniquely because I'm making a live video. There's a few other little things I like to personalize, like I don't like the notifications. So I go down to notifications and I'll tell it to, under settings here, turn them off. I don't want them. There's a couple things on the taskbar I don't like. So again, since I'm waiting for these updates, I'll just right click taskbar settings. And I don't want widgets and other things, so I turn these off personally. And when it comes to other taskbar icons, I don't want OneDrive on there, but I do want to see my Bluetooth and my Windows security. And I will eventually get Wi-Fi and safely remove USB. And they'll be hidden behind this arrow down here at the bottom. I don't want those hidden. I don't want my Windows security hidden. When you saw the screen go blank right there, that's the video driver going in right now. Once that video driver is installed, we'll get to the desktop again. Again, I don't need to go looking in the device manager. I can tell you through experience what's going on. So if I right click right now, even while updates are being installed, that display driver is done. So if I go to display settings, I bet you that's not grayed out anymore. See that? And now I can go 1920 by 1080. And now I can see the screen a lot better now that everything's a lot bigger. In the meantime, even though I'm opening and closing Windows, Windows updates are still running in the background. So we can go back to settings and Windows Update and it'll bring us back to wherever it is. Okay? Okay. So we're going to wait for all of that to finish installing. Guess I can move the camera a little bit here and watch that. And then we'll do our first reboot. Then we're going to look in the device manager and see if anything's missing, and then I'll show you how to locate those items. It's really easy. Easy peasy. John Bird joins us, says hello. He says, I've been away a long time. So glad to be back with Uncle Carey and the fam. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for joining us again. Glad to see you. My Gatorade Brigade. That's what we'll call the members. The Gatorade Brigade. Membership's green, the Gatorade's green. Why did I just come up with that? I have no idea. I'm just staring at a screen, waiting for it to finish. This is what happens in my mind if you leave me to my own devices without something to distract me like work. It's not good for anybody. So, anything exciting going on with you guys you want to share with everybody else? We're just waiting. I got nothing right now. I did not expect this to be this small or this thin. And it does get warm, but I mean, not too warm. It's quiet. I do hear a fan. I don't know how well you can hear that, but it's very quiet. All right. Quiet chat room today. What else can I tell you about? Told you about Friday's show. Oh, tomorrow. I think what I'm going to do, the server we fixed for Patrick over at Serve the Home, after we fixed it, he said, you can keep it. And I was like, really? I mean, it's expensive. It's like a $15,000 server. He goes, yeah, it was old for us. It was just a good excuse for us to replace it anyway. Well, apparently he's got a bigger budget than I do. I said, you don't want it back? He goes, no. So, you know, it's all been repaired, which I would have done anyway, regardless, because I enjoyed the repair. I liked the diagnostic and showing the process. And then I had to take it out of Studio B when we got out of there, and I didn't have room for it here, so I moved it over to Studio A. And then it just kind of sat. And I fired it up and did some updates on it and then put it back. And then tried to fire it up again and put updates on it, and it's freezing up and shutting down. And I was doing that through KVM. I just figured, why bring it all the way over here? It's huge, it's heavy. Just to do some updates and then shut it back off and stick it back in the corner. But Murphy's Law, you know, that's the one that's locking up and having problems. And I'm wondering if maybe the water pump is broken on it, because we didn't replace that. So I thought maybe sometime tonight I'll go over there and pick that server up, load it in the car, bring it back here, put it up on the bench, and we'll diagnose it together tomorrow. And assuming I get it fixed, tomorrow night I can load it back in the car and take it back over to let it sit again. That thing has 512 gigs of RAM and a $5,000 Threadripper CPU. I mean, this thing is a $15,000 system. The motherboard alone is $2,000. The graphics card's another $1,000. And we ended up changing the case, changing the motherboard, and replaced the video card because it was damaged in shipping, and it caused damage to the motherboard. And damage to the case, which was not a good case anyway. In fact, he mentioned he was never a fan of that case. So we put it in a I think we used a Be Quiet case, which is a more appropriate server case. We bought a brand new $2,000 motherboard and bought a refurbished, same video card that was in it, refurbished for around $900 plus tax, around $1,000. We took the drives out of it, gave him all of the drives back, and I had every intention of giving them the computer back. Just pay me back for the parts and it's yours. There's no labor charge or anything. No pickup fee, no delivery fee. I did not expect him to say, you can keep it. Okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I do try to take these computers off the shelves from time to time and update them so that when I do have to use them, I'm not having to do that many updates, right? I'm reducing how many future updates I have to do. And the last thing I expect is for there to be a problem. But I'm telling you, if you leave a computer off for a period of time, it's not good for it. That's where you're going to have problems when you fire it back up. A lot of people ask, should I turn my computer off or leave it on? I always suggest leaving computers on. The only exception would be laptops. But if you set the laptop to go to sleep, something like that, it's probably going to be just fine. You know, after a certain period of inactivity, have it shut down or go to sleep. Same with mini PCs. Some machines don't wake up from sleep properly, but if yours does, that's fine. If yours doesn't, and it's a laptop or something really compact like this, you might want to shut it off or leave it on and have it put the computer to sleep, but leave the computer on in a balanced power state, and it's probably going to be fine. The downside about leaving it on, of course, is if you're not home and there's a big storm rolling in, you definitely don't want the computer plugged in at all. You want to unplug it from the wall, or if it's plugged into a surge protector, turn the switch off on the surge protector until the storm passes. Better yet, unplug the surge protector from the wall because it can still damage the surge protector. And the surge protector doesn't guarantee necessarily that other things plugged into it. If there's a lightning strike or a big power spike, the only safe way you can protect your TV and things like that is to unplug them from the wall when you're having a big electrical storm that's nearby. I have a couple clients that have mini PCs and they do leave them on. It's no problem. But laptops, I wouldn't leave a laptop on. Because the other downside, of course, is as the fans are continually running, it's bringing in dust. And on a laptop, they're just not as easy to clean. But usually you'll end up getting a lot of dust and detritus around the exhaust fan that's got a heatsink next to it. And so when I see people changing thermal compound and stuff on laptops, I'm just rolling my eyes. Yeah, it makes a little tiny little difference, but the big difference is made from clearing out the obstructions in the heatsink. That's the lint, the dust. That's going to make your big difference. And it's the easiest thing compared to changing thermal compound, and it's less risky to damage the laptop. And it makes the biggest difference. So, you know, why people do that, usually they're professionals and it's no big deal, but if you're a home user, it's usually a pretty expensive thing to get replaced or repaired if you break it. And on top of that, when it's all said and done and you did it right, your benefit is like this tiny little better. It's a little tiny better, little bit better. But the bulk of what's causing a computer to run hot, especially if it's a laptop, it's the dust and the lint that build up and clog the heatsink, just so you know. That will solve 95% of your heat issues. Every time. Every single time. But if you're a computer technician and you're like, Carey's making a big deal out of it, well, that's because you have experience. Maybe you've broken some things in the past to get there. And maybe your attitude is, well, I'm already in here, I might as well do it while I'm in here. It's your decision either way, but for people watching enthusiast videos, those enthusiasts have already broken a few things. That's how they got to be where they are. And so now they've got confidence they're not going to break it, and they're going to show you how they do it, and they're going to say, well, since I'm in here, I'll do it anyway. But since even when they're successful, it makes a very teeny tiny improvement, why bother? So you decide for yourself, but that's That's the way I see it. Dennis wants to know, does the enterprise version of Windows 11 have all the telemetry disabled? I don't know. I don't use the Windows 11 Enterprise Edition. That's for corporations. And the problem I see with the question is almost like it's closed-minded. And I don't mean that as an insult. What I'm trying to say is that every bit of software that you're installing for free, all your browser extensions are spying on you. Even in some cases, your paying software, your paid software is spying on you for authenticity checks. Your browser is spying on you. Your internet service provider knows everywhere you go, and they're spying on you. Your cell phone knows exactly where you are at all times, and it's spying on you. When you get in the car and you go somewhere, you're passing cameras everywhere in public that are recording you. Cameras over the streetlights, cameras in private businesses and homes, ring cameras as you go by or walk down the sidewalk. You are being recorded. The only way I know to turn off all telemetry is to unplug from the internet. Because anything you do, any data that's being sent to you can be traced back to you. There's a word for this, and I can't think of what it is. But it's often why things like encryption and stuff can be hacked, because they add a payload to the encryption that's a beacon. All right, where's the beacon go? The data itself can have a beacon attached to it. Like a hacker could do this, or a corporation with nefarious purposes can add a beacon, and you'd never know it was there. And so what ends up happening is when the beacon arrives at its destination, it does what a beacon does and says, I'm over here, and now they know where you are. Regardless of how many VPNs and how you're routing, wherever that beacon ends up going off, that's the destination. There's not much you can do about it. You'd have to be at a super high level. Then on top of that, because there's people that have used Tor and they think I can sell drugs online and get away with it in the Silk Road. Just read your history. These are really smart people who aren't as smart as they thought they were. So when it comes to the telemetry data, for the most part, it isn't nefarious. It's just trying to sell you stuff. If they see you were just looking at Levi's jeans and you didn't make a purchase, and you go to another site like, I don't know, CNN to read the news, and then you see an advertisement for Levi jeans, they don't know who you are. They don't even know that this is not a public computer that 27 people are using differently a day. It cannot differentiate one user from another, essentially. It's going to identify a location, sort of a ping, if you will, and a pattern of usage, or not even a pattern. Anything it can manipulate, and there's no people involved in this. This is all automated stuff because it's handling hundreds of millions of requests online a second. The scale of this is, your mind can't even comprehend. It's like thinking of the size of the universe. It's just not within our capacity to do so. The universe is never ending and it's infinite, but it's expanding. How does that make any sense? So, folks like Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about things like the quantum physics of everything and how we're all made of atoms, right? I'm made of atoms, and this table's made of atoms. But the atoms that make up the table somehow know they're not a part of me. And if we're all made of atoms, then why doesn't my hand pass through this table? It doesn't make any sense. But we accept that. We believe it. Well, we don't have a choice. We may not have the mental capacity to really understand what's happening there. We have theories and we have ideas. And depending on who you talk to, they might be very confident about their ideas and theories. That doesn't mean they're right. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson will say, I can explain why your hand doesn't. He's theorized. I mean, it's a good enough explanation. So in any event, when we talk about telemetry, everything you do online is data being sent to you. Now, back in the day, one of the ways that they could tell if you opened an email was by planting a beacon in a JPEG image. So when you open the email, and the default was to display the images, it could be advertisements, it could be spam, right? Even though you deleted the message, because you opened it and the JPEG image loaded, it would have grabbed that JPEG image off of a website. This is the most basic way they would do it. And then the website would report back who opened that website, what email address. So my real estate agent, when there's a new listing in Michigan, when he sends me the MLS listing, actually MLS sends it to me automatically. He doesn't do anything. But if I click on the link to get the details of the real estate, I want to see pictures of the house, I want to see the price. When I click on it, it sends the real estate agent a message that said, Carey has just clicked on this specific listing, because maybe it sent me 15 listings in the last 5 minutes. And I've ignored, 99% of those, and I'm just interested in one of them. And it doesn't tell me it's doing this. I click it, and what's happening in the background is that link is taking me to where I wanted to go to see the details, but it's letting the real estate agent know that I've clicked it. So then it's not uncommon for the real estate agent to reach out to me at some point afterwards when he gets that message to say, oh, I noticed you were looking at the property in Grand Rapids or whatever. Did you want more information on it? So even when you think you can turn off telemetry, you're not really turning it off. The only true way you can turn it off is to not use it. And again, it's not identifying you. It's identifying the computer. So if you have a family of 5 people, let's say they all share the same computer, it doesn't know that. It doesn't know there's one person using it. It doesn't know that it's a public PC in a library somewhere. It has no idea. So that's why I don't get too worked up over the telemetry. Mostly the telemetry is happening on your smartphone. I'd say the most invasive telemetry is on your phone. All those free apps you're downloading, the map has to know where you are in order to tell you how to get to where you want to go. It knows where you want to go. If there's a crime committed, the police can see where you were to identify if you have an alibi. Could save your life one day. You could go missing, you could go hiking, they can't find you, but they're able to find the phone and then save your life. So does Windows 11 Enterprise have telemetry? Is sort of like asking, if I go outside, am I going to get wet? Well, if you're asking if it's raining, there's a lot of other ways you might get wet besides rain. So that's why it's a very difficult question to answer for me, because there's more to it. It's oversimplified. Unless there's a specific thing about Windows telemetry you're concerned about, it doesn't eliminate all the other telemetry happening on the other side of Windows that you're using Windows for, or your phone. Does that make sense? And I don't understand the fascination with the telemetry. It's not harmful. It's not. There have been issues like with scammers and hackers, or even insurance companies raising your rate based on some free app you downloaded on your phone. But it doesn't know you're driving. For all it knows, you're in a cab. For all it knows, you're in a city bus. But they might say, we're noticing you're speeding and hitting the brakes a lot because you downloaded the Gas Buddy app to find cheap gas. And that's all funded by Allstate Insurance Company. And then they sell that data back to other insurance companies who then can raise your rates because they're spying on you. That's got nothing to do with Android. That's got nothing to do with Windows. That has to do with you downloading a free app. Any sort of spying the Android app is doing is to your benefit. Any sort of spying the free apps are doing is not necessarily. They got to get money somehow. They got to pay the developers. They got to pay for the bandwidth. Where's that money coming from? All those ad blockers you download, every one of those ad blockers is spying on you. Every one of them without exception. You want to download a VPN, that VPN knows where you are. It's all a theater. It's all an illusion. And they market it in such a way as to only demonstrate one side of it. They don't tell you about the other side. They don't talk about it. But if you do some research on YouTube about why VPNs are lying to you, there's more YouTube videos than you can shake a stick at, warning people this is not what you think it is. So just be aware of that. The information provided from the manufacturers is generally one-sided. It's not fully transparent, nor is it complete. That's the default. Very few manufacturers are fully transparent. They do exist, but good luck finding one. And they never offer anything for free. Never. There's always a cost. And just because you pay for it doesn't mean they're not spying on you as well. Not these days. You can still pay for it and still be spied on. I don't know how you get away from it other than just don't use it. Just unplug, get rid of a smartphone, just get a regular telephone, a landline. Don't connect to the internet, don't use it. And then nobody will spy on you other than the cameras when you go out in public. Cameras will pick you up. And those help us to find criminals, to solve crime, and other issues where, in my opinion, the good outweighs the bad. Not that my opinion matters. But we cannot be both safe and also have freedom. With freedom, there is exposure. And if you don't want that exposure, you just stay home, like you're living in like North Korea, and there's martial law, and there's a curfew and all this other stuff, and you will be safe. I don't want to live that way. So there's a pro and a con. It's like you want to have the front, but you don't want to have the back. I don't think that's possible. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I appreciate the question, and well, I don't know the answer. I also know that it doesn't really matter because there's so much more to it than just telemetry on Windows 11. It goes so much deeper than that. Would big corporations allow it? Oh. So what big corporations do is they have an IT department. I keep emphasizing work versus enthusiasts. Probably the best thing you can do, if you're genuinely wanting to learn more about this, is watch videos on corporate IT type of work. So somebody like Network Chuck would be a great place, because he'll explain to you these very advanced, expensive firewalls that can filter, analyze, and block data from DDoS attacks to employees doing things they shouldn't be doing. Everything gets logged and reported and traced, and there's an IT department, multiple people that are paid full-time to deploy this equipment, configure this equipment, and every day monitor these logs, and then to report back to their bosses for any sort of abnormalities or issues for a concern regarding anything the company doesn't want out. The company is fully aware of exactly what data is going out and when, the source of it, and they know they can pinpoint who was working that day at that desk that went to this website. What corporations can do is absolutely incredible, and it's what money does, all right? So a corporate IT department, it probably no less than $2 million a year budget, no less. And that would be a pretty small IT department. If you've got employees earning $100 grand a year, plus you've got equipment costs, and you've got to spread that out over 12 months and $2 million, that means you've got fewer than 20 employees in that department, and that's assuming you don't need anything that's assuming just labor. We're not even talking about hardware cost and maintenance. So the amount of money we're talking about here at a minimum is millions of dollars, but the result of that is complete control of the network. You and I don't have that. We don't have that knowledge, and likely we don't have that kind of money for that kind of equipment, and likely we would be a full-time job for us to monitor our own stuff, and there'd be nobody to help us. So whether or not Windows 11 Enterprise has telemetry, once again, in a corporate environment, it's meaningless. It doesn't make a difference. Ben Laird said his landline phone connects through the internet. Good point, Ben. I forgot about that. When I said landline, I was thinking the old copper lines. There's still some out there. I'm sure Mara could better speak to you in the corporate sense, because while I worked in IT, I did not work in network administration. I worked in desktop support. And then, of course, you've got DevOps, or the developers, and you've got the database programmers, you've got the data entry people, you've got the web developers, you've got the network architect who designs it all. And it always needs upgrading, it always needs repair. It's so big and complex, and hopefully the company is growing that it's never done. There's always work. Like, come in on the weekend, come in the next weekend, come in on the next weekend. It just never ends. They need you more. If you work there, they're never telling you, we don't need you today, you can go home. I'm telling you, that never happens in corporate IT. If they're sending you home, it's because you're fired. They have so much work and they're so understaffed. If you didn't have to sleep, they'd be working you 24 hours a day, and you'd never get done. So, and everything has to be done the way the corporate tells you to do it. You don't get to exercise any judgment to firewall settings. You have to follow policies. And some companies, like hospitals or financial organizations or government services, like, you know, the company that delivers your power or the company that delivers your water, they have to follow governmental regulatory standards that must be documented. And at any point you could have an audit where a government representative shows up just randomly and says, let's see if you're following the rules. If you're a business like a restaurant and you want to process credit cards, you better have PCI compliance. Otherwise, your ability to accept credit cards will be denied until you meet with that compliance. And that's for your own safety. It's for the banks who own the credit card safety. And it's for the customer's safety. It doesn't matter if it's going to cost you more money. That's not their problem. You do it right, or you don't get the privilege of running credit cards. So a lot of times there's a lot of business owners where if the compliance rules were not in place, they would just be playing hot potato with your data and your credit card. They wouldn't care. It's not their problem. So if the bank finds out, or the people that issue the card processing payments find out you're not within compliance, then you can no longer process credit cards until compliance has been mitigated, until it's been resolved. And you'll spend, trust me, you will find the money and you will spend it, because if you're not able to process the credit cards and you're a cash-only business, you're probably going to lose a lot of business, at least as a retail and especially as an online seller. Let's see. So we've rebooted. Now let's take a look in the device manager. So I'm going to go full screen over here and right-click on the Start button. We'll go to Device Manager. See what we have going on in here. So we have 3 devices here. Now, just out of the gate, I can tell you, installing an SMIO driver and Intel chipset driver should be installed regardless if you think you have them or not. So I'm going to just bring up Microsoft Edge here for the first time. I do not use any driver third-party software. I don't trust it, and they are spying on you, and sometimes they make mistakes, and a bad driver will result in your brand new system crashing, and you're going to be angry. So that's why I do it all myself, and then if something's wrong, I only have myself to blame. I do not offload that onto a free third-party driver software program because of I want to accept responsibility, and I want to point the finger at the driver program. So I'm going to look at Intel for the chipset driver, and we're going to get it only from Intel. The alternative would be to get it from the PC manufacturer, but since the PC manufacturer doesn't seem to have a website, then I don't really have a choice. Download and run the Intel chipset software installation utility. That's what I want. Download it. Now, I'll tell you what, let me get rid of camera 1 so you can see everything in full here, because you're going to see the download in the top right. if I remove the video from the top right. Everything I'm doing is legitimate, it's legal, it's encouraged, and we're not trusting a third-party driver program that's spying on us and potentially using our system resources to correctly identify the right drivers. And when it doesn't, there's no recourse for you. There is nothing you can do about it as far as other than do it yourself, which if you'd have done from the get-go, you wouldn't be cleaning up somebody else's mess because you were trying to be lazy about it. On the other hand, it could work for you, but I'm trying to run a business where everything is consistent and always the same, so that way I can more accurately identify or estimate the amount of time a particular project will take me. I don't want to roll the dice and depend on some third party or even another employee to figure out if it's going to work for me today. So we just run the download and hit install, and this is going to run through the installer, and it will need to reboot when it's done. After that, we'll go back in the device manager and we'll identify if there's still anything missing, or, you know, we had 3 items in there. That's all I know. I don't know what they are, and I don't care. I need to do this anyway. If I want performance, I can't rely on whatever chipset driver I might have gotten from Windows Update, or might not have gotten. I don't know. I don't trust anything else. If I don't do it myself, I cannot be sure. Now, it's possible when we reboot this, there's nothing in the device manager with a problem. It's also possible all 3 devices are still unknown. So regardless, we're going to do this anyway. And it should want to reboot. What's it doing here? Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3 devices that are unknown. Keep that in mind. And then we're going to restart the computer. Now, there may also be some Windows updates missing, but as far as drivers go, we should have, at least in my experience, received what's available automatically in the first go. So everything else we'll handle by hand. And so with just 3 of them, it's not a big deal. Like, I know my Wi-Fi isn't there, so I know one of those drivers is a Wi-Fi driver. Now, I don't know who makes the Wi-Fi on this mini PC yet, but we can easily determine that. It's going to be one of 3, generally. It's going to be MediaTek, Intel, or Realtek. I suppose it could be ASMedia too. But the most common would be Intel. And MediaTek's getting more popular, so it could be MediaTek too. And Realtek is another possibility. I'm going to go back to the device manager right now, see if we still see 3 things in there. Yeah, so that did not help us. Well, at least it didn't help this. It did help us, but in a different way. So if I want to know what this device is, and there's a few other things, by the way, that I can look for. The Intel SMIO driver is another one that's really common. And I'm just going to type in Intel SMIO driver. And then I'm going to look to see if it comes from Intel. That's Lenovo. Here. No, that's Dell. I could probably just use it from Dell. It's a reputable. I'd rather just get it from Intel. There's the driver assistant. Intel chipset. Go to download. Here you find downloads. Graphics. I don't know where the SMIO driver is in here. Chipsets. Okay, well, anytime I run into this sort of where the answer is not obvious, I can just click on this device, go to details, look at the hardware IDs. Right-click on this first one to copy it, and then just come up, open another tab, and just Control-V to paste that in. See what it says it might be. Intel Management Engine Driver. Okay, so let's do the Intel Management Engine Driver. So Intel ME drivers. and I want to get it from Intel. Go to the download center from Intel. Where would it be in here? It's not memory and, is it memory and storage? Intel Rapid Storage, Intel Optane. Should be pretty obvious. It should be labeled as the Intel ME driver. Now, as you can see, the ASUS website pops up here. Now, anybody who's using the Intel chip will use the same Intel drivers. So if there's a reputable manufacturer, like let's say ASRock, for example, and it doesn't matter which Intel chip you have, if it's an N100 or a Core Ultra or an i7 or an i5 or an i9, none of that really matters. They will all use that same Intel driver. The question is, do you trust where you're getting the driver from? So if I just go up here again, Intel ME driver download, Intel Management Engine drivers. Well, see that when I typed the search in, it brought up exactly what I wanted from Intel, so I don't have to hodgepodge it. And we're going to download that real quick. And if I close this and scroll down, you'll see how many different Intel chips that this qualifies for. If for some reason you have an older than 7th gen Intel chip, that means you're about 10 years old. You probably don't need an ME driver on a machine that old, and that's why it doesn't exist. But that's where having older machines can really be a pain in the butt. So let's go back over to our downloads folder now, because we should have downloaded that file. Yeah, and I'll double click and extract this. Hit extract all. That's going to create a folder in here with the same name as the zip file. I can tell them apart by the little icon. All right, so far what we've added is the Intel chipset driver, and we're about to add the ME driver. Is there an installer for this? Drivers. Yikes. Don't see an installer. It's not in Legacy. Whoops. Let me Control Z to reverse what I just did there. Main, setup ME, setup management engine. That sounds about right. I have file extension viewing not enabled by default. That's what Windows does. That's what Microsoft does. I like to see .exe or whatever, but I haven't turned that on yet. If you want to turn it on to see the file extensions, I don't know why Microsoft would hide that. I don't agree with it. But it's just under, yes, there, under those 3 dots, I think under options. And then we would check to show the file extension names. View. Hide extensions for known file types. Now I should see a .exe after that. Okay, let's close all this out so I can see what's going on back here. Let's close this too. Oh, let's see. This can prevent a driver from installing, so we want to just close out of any sub-windows there and accept the license agreement that we understand, we are confident that the source we've acquired this file from is not going to have viruses on it, or it won't be for incompatible hardware, that this is precisely what we need. And it says we've successfully installed these 2 things. Okay. Now, in theory, when I go back to the device manager, I should not have 3 unidentified items anymore. And I still do, which is interesting, because if that's the management engine, I wonder if I have to reboot automatically. If I want to search for updated drivers manually, just out of curiosity, and again, a reboot should be what I do first, but I'm going to click on driver, update driver, browse my computer, and then browse to that folder I just downloaded it. Right here, this one, and let it search in there just to see if there's anything in there. And yeah, it says there's nothing in there. So that's fine. We're going to close this, and let's reboot and see if it changes its mind or if those 3 items are in there. It's still something we install. Regardless if you're seeing a change in the device manager, don't assume you didn't need it. If the installation fails, then you've got a wrong driver. Now, some of you may say, well, you know, I use this third-party driver program and it always works for me. That's fine for you. I don't want something else to do my thinking that I have to trust, and especially when I'm getting it for free, that, you know, I don't really know the price I'm paying, and I'm putting something on a customer's computer that could be spying on the customer without the customer's knowledge, heck, without my knowledge. And it's all too much risk I want to take as a business owner. So I'm just telling you why I don't use one. Let's go back to Device Manager, see if anything's changed. No. That's fascinating to me, because when we did the driver or the details of the hardware ID, it did come up. Let's grab this next one. Let's copy it. They should all come up as in. Let me just verify. Should all be the same. Intel Management Engine Driver. Okay. Or it could be a simple communications driver. Well, usually it'll say as much. SM bus controller. So the SMIO, that's what I was referring to. That'll often bite you on the butt. So here's one way you can cheat. So when I am looking for a driver that the manufacturer, let's say, doesn't have the drivers available yet, or in this case, the manufacturer doesn't even have a website, then we can find another N100 mini PC from a reputable manufacturer. So let's take, for example, Minis Forum. And I know Minis Forum has real drivers for their N100 mini PCs. So this is an N100, and likely everything about them is the same, other than, let's say, the BIOS, the case design, and who supports it, who warranties it. So if I just type in Minis Forum N100 drivers and go to Minis Forum support, then I can use Minis Forum support for other manufacturers. I don't really think they want you to, but there's no pre-qualifier that says you can't do that. And this site isn't working for me, so let me go back and find another one. And I don't want to download from like whatever this website is. I want to get it from Minis Forum. And typically, we can look under, usually somewhere on the page, there's support. Minis Forum has a lot of different sites, so I'm just got to pick the right one here. I hope that they're going to improve this. I find that minisforum.cn support center is the one that usually works for me. We go to drivers and downloads now. Apparently not. And by the way, anybody who makes an N100, Ace, Magic, Camrui, Paladin, any of those will all use the same Intel chipset drivers, the same Intel SMIO drivers, because they're all based on the Intel N100, which would use all those same things. So if I get a little frustrated trying to find the downloads, I don't have to stick with Minis Forum. Anybody who's reputable that I trust. And I don't know where I should bookmark this page, because I will frequently go through this process of finding the one that has the support. Let's do this. Download N100 drivers. Let's try Paladin, see if they have them. Service download. Oh. All right, well, that's AMD. We definitely don't want the AMD stuff. And I don't know from the model number which chips they have. So, unfortunately, I'd have to look up each model to figure out which one's the N100. I know it's not AMD though. So this says drivers Intel version. This is likely what we need right here, I'll bet you. If we get the wrong drivers, they won't install, they'll fail. They won't cause any problem. But when a third-party driver utility installs the wrong drivers, that can cause blue screens and instabilities. That can be a real nightmare to figure out. It says AMD, drivers AMD, OS AMD. So I don't want that. Oh boy. I'm just making some, I started with Minisform, then I went to Paladin. How about just Nuck? Could we use the Intel driver, automated driver assistant? We can, but it often doesn't offer like the ME driver. It'll offer like the Wi-Fi if it's Intel Wi-Fi. And because it's an Intel system, we probably want it anyway. Now these are all going to be old. So what I want to do is maybe just download the Intel driver assistant and just see where it takes us. I have a feeling two of the devices are, one's going to be Wi-Fi, one's going to be Bluetooth, and I think the other one is still the management engine. So let's go ahead and do it this way. Like I said, I would want this anyway just to get the latest video driver updates, which are often not made available on Windows Update as quickly as Intel makes them available, and that can make a big difference in performance and reliability. Video card drivers are often a point of system lockups and blue screens. And those updates are what's going to, remedy that. Once the manufacturer, if it's AMD, if it's NVIDIA, if it's Intel, they all can suffer these kind of unexpected consequences depending on the configuration of the system and how you're using it. So having the latest video driver is always recommended. All right, so we're going to put the Intel driver assistant on, and let's see what it says. Probably best to start with the easy things first. This is a great example of how you can maintain control of your own computer, even when you don't have necessarily the answers. If Windows 11 put all our drivers in for us, we'd already be done, and it would have done all of our thinking for us. And I suppose you could see a benefit to that, but at the same time, you're not learning anything. And when you learn how to identify these drivers it's such an empowerment and a self-reliance that it empowers you and gives you the confidence to not have to worry about the magic that's happening and the trust that you need to have having a third party do that. I've just noticed my Bluetooth driver down here, so I guess I already have the Bluetooth. Interesting. Bring up the Windows updater here, and it's offering us a video driver, a Bluetooth driver, and a Wi-Fi driver. So that should take care of everything but one missing device, I think. On the other hand, until I install it and see what the results are, for all I know, I'm still going to have 3 unknown devices. That's why I say we can speculate all day long and wonder, or we can actually get off our butts and do it and it will likely get you to an answer that is definitive, and it'll get you there faster. It identifies the manufacturer as LXYMN. That's pretty interesting. And although we know this is an M.2 drive, we still don't know if that's NVMe or SATA. I'm guessing it's SATA. The network card is a Realtek. The Wi-Fi, however, is Intel, obviously, because we're getting Intel drivers there. So let's put those in and see what happens. This is not a third-party driver installer. This is coming directly from Intel. We know it's genuine. We know it's the latest. It's not outdated and old. That's the other thing third-party driver support does, is they'll give you old, outdated drivers. That's pretty common. And we know they're the right drivers. Now, I can leave this open as long as I don't have any sub-windows open, just to see if any of those go away. And we've only looked at the first one. I haven't looked at the second one yet. While we're waiting, I suppose I could open this up and then go to Details and Hardware ID, and then just copy that, Control-C. But I have to get out of this for the drivers to install. So just minimize that, come over here, type that in, and see what it comes up as. Back to Intel Management. One of the unknown devices I got stuck on last time was the HID driver. The HID is like a keyboard or a mouse or a touchpad or a tablet. It's a human interface device. It's a way for the human to interface with the computer. It could be a microphone. So usually microphones related to sound card, but I'm saying as an input device or a human interface device. Intel HID driver or event filter, I think is what they call it. That was the one that hung me up last time. And you'll notice that did not pop up on our Intel driver assistant. It doesn't even look for it. So let's begin our driver installer just to get the latest version. We did get one from Microsoft Update. However, that may not be the latest one. So I usually agree to that and decline that and then hit start. And this will take a minute. It's a big driver. Now you'll see there's an HID event filter from Dell. And I see one from Intel for the NUC. And since Intel doesn't make the NUC anymore, well, it says it's from last year. Let's see. We'll just grab this one. Accept the terms. And while we're installing the video driver, let's open this up and take a look at what's in here. There's only 3 files in here. I want you to notice there's no executable file. There's no setup. So you have to know what to do with these. So I'm going to extract these. And then I'm going to, in the device manager here, I'm going to hit this button here to search for drivers. Oops. Update device drivers. Browse my computer, and I just want it to go to the main download directory right here and let it look through all the folders for me. And look, it found stuff. It found the Intel HID event driver. And now we have 2 devices left. So we know we need that Intel HID event driver. We knew that from last time. Oh, and I'm going to click OK on this to close it. Let me close that. And then let's close this. Let's close this. Let's go back here to see what's going on. Okay, good, good, good. Screen goes blank. That means a new driver's going in. It just went into 4K. Lucky me. Hopefully it'll come back at my setting of 1920 by 1080, but let's give it a second. There it is. And that's a normal part of video driver installation, nothing to freak out about. And after we do these last 2, right, we've got the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi driver, we'll reboot and see if we still have anything left. If we're done, the device manager's clean, and we know for future installs on this machine what drivers we need from this point forward. If the manufacturer's not going to provide it, as long as we take good notes, or even if we want to back up the drivers off of this for future reference, then we never have to do this again. Even if somebody gave you this computer and they already did all this work, you can back up the drivers onto a flash drive using a Windows command and no software. And then if you ever need to reinstall, you just already use those same drivers. You don't have to go looking like I am. This is a worst case scenario, which you can see is not that big of a deal. I enjoy the challenge of it. What I don't like is when a customer's breathing down the back of my neck going, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Let me jump back over to the chat room and see what you guys have been saying. I've had my full attention here on this for the last 45 minutes or an hour or so, so I've been missing out whatever conversation's been happening. Reboot requested or required. Yeah, let's reboot it. That's fine. I'm just going back through. I see a lot of conversation happening, which I think is fantastic. And most of it doesn't require me. All right, let's go to full screen again so I can see this whole thing. Let's go to the Intel, probably hiding back here. There it is, driver assistant. And now it should tell us we're missing. Why is this not loading? There it goes. Yeah, those are the last two here, so let's install those. Even if we already have them, Intel's saying these are newer than what we have. So I'm just not sure if we're missing them or if we're updating what we already have. Either way, I want them. So we're just going to go ahead and do that install. It's saying we had a previous version installed, so this may not be the device manager items. But again, we're going to do the easy stuff first here. It really threw me that first time we did this that the HID event driver was missing. I just found that surprising because I can't recall another PC where that just didn't automatically come in with Windows. But there's something about Soayan's computers where that has been consistent now on 2 of them. So as we learn that and we teach it to you, you won't have to be doing the same research. You already have the answer now, and you know exactly what to look for. So at least that's one of the 3. Let's find out what the other 2 are. And this system has been very quiet the whole time. Perfect. Now it should say we're all up to date as far as the driver and support assistant from Intel is concerned, but that doesn't. It is wrong to assume it's going to give you ME drivers or your SMIO drivers. It doesn't even look at those. So let's right click on the start menu and go back to the device manager. So we have one unknown device and one PCI device. Now, out of curiosity, if I just click on that and just to check and see what drivers we have, we don't have this driver, whatever this is. And I think this might be the SMIO driver because this is pretty common. And I was having some trouble locating a valid source for it. So download Intel SMIO drivers. See if that pulls up anything from Intel. Now you'll notice, you know, companies like Dell and Lenovo, they have to offer these same exact drivers for their computers too. So if we want to get it from there, no problem. I do not want to get it from Softpedia or a site like that. I do not want to get it from Driver Easy. I am curious if I can just bring it over from Dell, Ultimate Package, Windows 64-bit. This is it right here. And you'll see it's a really small file. Let's open it and let's just see what happens. Serial, I go install it. I didn't see anything happen. Did it close? Is it still running? Let's extract it. It downloads. Extracted successfully. The reason why I'm extracting it is if Dell is checking first to see if we own a Dell before they let us install their driver, that's kind of a nasty thing. Or I just wasn't being patient because now it says it looks like it installed. This update installer operation is successful. So it was installing that whole time. Now if I go back to the device manager, did it make any difference? No, it didn't. However, once again, if I go up here to the top and just let it scan the downloads folder, will it find anything? Oh, it's finding a bunch of stuff. Oh, that's interesting. See, it says GPIO. That's likely the extracted files here, which it would ignore. This device manager would ignore this if it did not need it. So what happens? Nothing. It didn't change. Okay, we're good. So there's still something missing here. Let me reboot one more time just because it is possible that the reboot is required for those items to update. So before I work any harder than I need to, I might have already solved this or I might not have. Again, I can wonder and speculate, or I can take 90 seconds and reboot the machine and know for a fact. And then we proceed according to what information we get back. All right, so this should be interesting. I was surprised. I wasn't expecting to see all those files load. Right-click the device manager. No. Okay, well that's fine. At least I know for a fact. I don't have to assume. So this PCIe device, we don't know what this is, but it has something to do with the Windows ME. That much we know. This other one, or the Intel ME, I keep calling it Windows. Let's go back to driver details, look under the hardware ID here. And then I'll right-click and choose copy, and then we'll come down here. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that one. I want to go to Microsoft Edge. And just a Google search is usually all you need. There are site-specific PCIe lookup information, but a Google search is usually enough. So it keeps bringing us back to management engine drivers over and over and over again, which I find fascinating. If I dig down a little bit, it says Serial IO GPIO host controller. But I don't know who this is, so I'm not trusting it. This is for Windows 10. Someone here mentions an ACPI driver. Interesting. HP would be a fine source for those drivers. As I mentioned, a lot of the drivers the manufacturers use are all coming from Intel in the case of an Intel system. If I want to go to ASRock and just look at an ASRock motherboard and grab an Intel Serial IO driver from there, I absolutely can do that. So if I look, and again, shouldn't hurt anything because we're getting legitimate drivers from a legitimate source. So if I were to go to ASRock, and let's just say we wanted to look up what is it? We worked on a B650i was the last Intel based. And we want to look for, let's just type in BIOS because that'll take us to the support page. This is a little workaround. So if I go to, it's going to be support. Oh, this right here. So we want to look for Intel, right? So B650 would be Intel, 670 would be AMD. Let's just click on download on the live mixer. Shouldn't matter. We got sound driver. Oh, this is AMD. Never mind. Got it wrong. Why am I pulling up? So I want to look for different support page here. Again, I don't want to go to Softpedia. I don't want to download any software from there. I've got a weird support site up I've never seen before. I've never seen ASRock list everything this way. But everything that's a B650 apparently is AMD. So 660, I guess. Oh, I know why. That last build is an AMD build. That's why I'm so confused. Friday was an AMD build, not an Intel build. So if I just change our search, that's just human error is what that is. Let's do 660. That should be a thing, right? Let's try that instead. And then we'll do the support right over here. And now we should see the Intel drivers. How about that? All right. Okay. So we've already done the INF driver. There's the management engine driver. Let's just grab it. I also want the SMIO driver. We might need the rapid storage technology driver. I'm not sure. And I don't see an SMIO unless it's part of the INF driver, which we should not need. I will grab it because it's a small download. None of the ASRock apps are going to work. I mean, this Restart to UEFI is a free little app you could put on any computer if you want a quick shortcut to your BIOS on your desktop. You can put this, should work on any computer with a UEFI motherboard. The VGA driver is Intel, the rapid storage is Intel, the management engine is Intel, the Bluetooth is Intel, so maybe it's one of these. But at least it's free, it's legitimate, and it won't cause any harm if it's the wrong driver. So the first thing I want to try is this ME driver because all of those search results on the hardware IDs are coming up with management engine or ME. And maybe the other one, you know, it had a couple installers. Maybe I picked the wrong installer. This one only has one installer, so I can't screw it up. This computer currently contains a driver newer than this. Oh, well, I guess we don't need it. Well, let's do it anyway. See what happens. Now, assuming that we don't need that because we already did install it, we'll just install it again. And while that's installing, move on to the next one. Back to downloads. Here's the INF file, which again, we already installed, but I'll do it again if I have to. INF. Oh, let's finish this one first. Finish. Check the device manager. I don't think that did anything. Nope, didn't do anything. Let's do the INF, which we already did, so I don't think this is going to do anything either, but I just double checking. Well, there's a newer version already installed. See, we did better by getting it directly from Intel. And then what was the last one we downloaded? The rapid storage technology driver. I wonder if that is related to the management engine. Let's find out. In the meantime, I don't see the SMIO driver here, so that exhausts that idea. And it wants us to restart the computer. So let's restart, and then we'll check the device manager again. So essentially, there are 3 drivers that we need to grab by hand. The one we know for certain right now is the HID event filter driver. So we know that, and we'll include it in the video notes. So if anybody wanted to follow along, you don't have to research or redo all the work. But if you are working with something different in your throne, I want to empower you and encourage you that if you put the effort in to find it, it's really super easy. Now, there's probably some of you going, if you just would install the third-party driver software, Carey, you wouldn't have to go through this. But you're not learning anything. If you're letting that do all the work for you, and if it does it right, and it's doing it for free, and you are trusting in it, what you're doing is you're avoiding learning how to do it yourself. I don't know that you're being smarter by refusing to learn. So you do you, and I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm saying I won't do that because I want to know. Now, you could say, well, after you use that driver installer, then you can go back and look and see what drivers it put in, and you would know. That's a valid point if you want to work that way. And honestly, I didn't think I would struggle this much. But yeah, we still have 2 unknown devices, and I really am curious what these are. And I think going back to my original idea, which was downloading the driver package for an N100 mini PC from another manufacturer, is likely the source of what I need here. So I would really like to find the Minis Forum driver downloads and see if we can find it, because I know they have it. And I don't know why this link isn't working. It's so frustrating to me that it just opens and closes something here. And I'll definitely talk to my connection at Minis Forum and say, hey, can we get some consistency on the on the support side of things? Like, depends, you guys got 10 different websites, and support only works on a couple of them, not on all of them. So see, for example, this takes us minisforum.net/front/support. What if we go backwards here, just to the support side of things? What happens? Aha! This is what I've been looking for. So minisforum.net/front/support. Even though it's not a Minis Forum computer, one of these has got to be an N100, right? Maybe the UN100 driver package. It's an RAR file. Let's grab it. Taking a guess here, based on that model number, I'm guessing it's an N100. And you'll see it covers a couple different models all the way to the UN305. But unless it's an AMD system, which it could be, I'm not sure when the model numbers don't necessarily have anything in relation to the CPUs. So I'm guessing that it will. So what I want to do now is I'll open up my downloads folder, and Windows natively opens RAR files now. You no longer need to download 7-zip. I right-click on it and just choose to extract it, no differently than a zip file. And it's going to put all those drivers into a folder. Now, I don't need to go through those drivers one by one. Once I've got them on the system, I can ask the device manager, is there anything in there that you need? So if I right-click on the start menu, go back to the device manager, there's a couple ways we can do this. Now, if I want to know what this unknown device is, And if I did in fact just download all the drivers from a similar machine, I can click Update Drivers, browse my computer, and then point to the entire downloads directory and see if it finds anything in there. It found it. It is the serial I/O GPIO driver. So I've been looking for the SMIO driver. This is basically what I've been looking for. So we'll make a note. We need the Intel HID event driver, and we need the Intel serial I/O driver. Okay, those are the two we've put in so far. Now that leaves us with just that one last one, this one right here. Let's do the same thing. Update the driver, browse my computer. We're looking in the downloads folder, which includes everything we've downloaded, and it found it. This is the Intel serial I/O. So in both cases, I wasn't wrong. I just wasn't able to find a good source for these files. So those were our three missing drivers: Intel serial I/O, Intel serial GPIO, and the Intel HID event driver. With that being done now, it's still a good idea that we ran the Intel driver installer to get the latest drivers and to verify everything is happy. And if we close everything out, close it all, when I right click and click on Device Manager, we should see a happy house. And you'll see if it's an N100 computer, it doesn't matter who makes it. If it's from Asus, if it's from Ace Magic, if it's from Paladin, if it's from GMK Tech, or Minisform, they all basically use the same drivers. So you can use a different company, but what I wouldn't trust is a third party. You understand the difference between a manufacturer and a third party? With that being done, now I'm curious, if I bring up my utilities flash drive, let me plug that in and let's take a look at the details of this installed M.2 drive. Because I'm not familiar with it, and I'm going to guess it's SATA, especially at this price. But instead of guessing, I prefer to get actual answers. So very quickly, if I go to my flash drive, oh, I just plugged in my Windows 11. I want to plug in my utilities. Hold on. Probably helps if I plug in the right flash drive. There we go. And let's bring over, you know me, I'm going to put VLC, oops, I'm going to put VLC on here. Drag that over. I'm going to put on Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer on here. My network fix thing, I'm going to put that over here as well, because we'll need to do that to browse the network without logins and passwords. And under PC testing software, if we want to know CPU Z, well, that's on the previous page. Crystal Disk Info and Crystal Disk Mark will tell us all about our installed storage. I'm not worried about Cinebench and stuff like that on a computer like this. It's like worrying what my quarter-mile time is on a Prius. Like, that's just not what it's built for. It's silly. So that's all we should need. Let's first of all start with Crystal Disk Info, and that'll give us the nitty-gritty about the storage. This is just information. It's not a test. Give it a second while it takes a look and evaluates. Here we go. And it says it is SATA right there. That answers that question. We know to expect no more than 550 megabytes per second. It's a fraction of the speed of NVMe. So now we can run Crystal Disk Mark to test it, but we know what to expect now. So if I hit the all button here, the read and write speeds will be probably 550, somewhere around there. And we'll see what our results. We have 562. So at this price point, you know, you're not getting an NVMe drive. Will it take an NVMe drive? By the time you spend the money to upgrade it, it would have been cheaper for you to just simply buy one that already had what you were looking for. But if you choose to go the more expensive way that's more labor intensive, that might void your warranty, I don't know yet. We would have to open it up and we'd have to try it. There's not a whole lot of information on this online, and the cheaper we go when we're looking for computers, the less expensive, the more mystery there is. And you're going to have to kind of seek this information out. And what you're investing in time, you're saving in money, or you could spend a little bit more money and save a whole lot more in time. I kind of like this though. To me, this is fun. And you know, having the answers of which drivers we're missing is useful to the community. If anybody else wants to do this, they don't have to research it now. On the other hand, giving people the answers isn't necessarily helping them. In some ways, you're hurting them. On the other hand, what if you wanted to do something like this, but you're not technically minded? Could there be just some set of instructions you could follow without forcing you to have to learn the technical stuff? And so on that side of things, then this kind of video would be very useful. So pros and cons on each side of that. I hope, if nothing more, it inspires you to understand that you don't need to be reliant on third-party software. You don't have to hope for the best. You don't have to worry about being spied on. You don't have to worry about getting wrong drivers. You don't have to worry about the accuracy or the age of how the library that they're providing the drivers to you. Yeah, you're getting the right drivers, but maybe they're old. How would you know? Maybe you don't care. You could also simply buy a more expensive unit from a reputable manufacturer with a support site so that you wouldn't have to do this at all. You will likely pay a little bit more money for it. What else do we have? Anything in the chat room for me? I don't see anybody talking to me. Fine, be that way. Yeah, we're getting standard SATA speeds out of this M.2 drive, so I can't complain. I mean, for the price, and most people aren't going to see a big difference. Your bottleneck is your CPU. I wouldn't waste money upgrading the RAM, and I would not waste money upgrading an NVMe drive. If you had one laying around anyway and you just wanted to repurpose it, I guess, but it's not really going to make a big difference. So you're sort of limited by the CPU, and that's limited because of your budget. And the CPU is only going to see so much memory anyway. It's not going to be dual channel. It can't take advantage of real high-speed drives because the CPU couldn't keep up with it if it could be compatible. So it doesn't make any sense. So set your expectations according to your budget. Be reasonable, and you'll be happy. Nobody's giving away a Rolls Royce for the price of a Chevy Malibu. Ain't happening. Mark Leibowitz says, I guess it had to happen sooner or later, but a client recently bought a failed mini PC, the B-Link SER Pro E. Stone dead. Too old to just send back to Amazon, tested the adapter, checking the CMOS battery. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Barry Klein wants to know how long it lasted. Great question. I'm going to save these results because if I don't, I'll forget. So let me just do this real quick. File, save image, to the desktop, JPEG, crystal disk, mark, enter. Perfect. Let me run my optimizer. Supply. Here we go. Andy wants to know the power supply voltage. I won't know because the power supply is up against the wall. But when I turn this off and unplug it, I can look at the power supply for you. I just can't look at it right now. The information's on the inside of the plug, and the plug is up against the wall. Let's reboot. In fact, I'm going to have to unplug it anyway if I'm going to open up the back of it and look in it. So we can do both of those things here. Right after this reboot, we'll shut it down, unplug it, and open the bottom up, see what the inside looks like, and take a look at the voltage on that power supply for you. Very good. Let's go ahead and shut it down. So I'll still go back to Windows Update, and double check that there's no more updates waiting. And I'll install VLC and I'll uninstall some of the default little installations they have on there for like LinkedIn and Spotify. I'll just take those out. It just takes a few seconds. And then I do my network fix, right? So I can browse without a username and password. And then it's done. It's ready to go. Andy Kane said the driver package you downloaded for any N100 would be a better option. I agree with you, Andy. Yeah. I think if I had to do this all over again, maybe the night before, figure out where the hell a good site is, like the mini swarm site. Once I figured out where that was, just show people, go here, download this driver package as complete. Likely that has the Intel HID event driver in it as well. That would be my guess. I don't know now. But if it had that, it'd be one-stop shopping, be in and out, and this whole thing would be done quickly, much more quickly than I did it. But it's still better than last time. So every time we do this, we get a little better, little better, little better, and we learn. And that's what the whole point of this is. With regards to the power adapter, what is the voltage? Get my glasses. This is 12 volts, 3 amps. Yikes, I'm drifting. Okay. Set that over here. And we're going to need a super teeny tiny little screwdriver to get in there. Those holes are super tiny, but at least I don't have to remove the feet. So careful what you wish for. What do I have? Probably those jeweler screwdrivers. Where did I put them? Must have, oh, here they are. I was going to say I must have moved some things around, but no, it was just I had something sitting on top of them. Will this work? We need Phillips. First try. Right on. You know what? Let's move this out of the way. Let's go to camera 2. And let me try the biggest one of the small ones. Will that fit? Oh, that one fits too. That's just a little bit better. A little more leverage in it. Okay, there's the 4 screw. Oh, wow. I didn't even mean to do that. I didn't expect that whole piece. I thought it was just a thin piece of plastic here on the bottom. And be careful because we have our Wi-Fi antennas there. Check that out. That is very unusual. Wow, the whole thing just opens right up. Look at that. I mean, on the one hand, it's really cool, and on the other hand, I could see how they were able to make this very inexpensively. Let me go back over to camera 1 for a second, and I'll try and carefully bring this up. If those darn antennas weren't connected, I could probably hold this a lot easier, but let's get a nice close-up of this. So that's your LED strip here, right? And that's wired in over here on this side. That's where it's connected to the board. And then those are your Wi-Fi antennas, and they're kind of glued on there. And you can unsnap them from the Wi-Fi card on the other side. But here's what the other side looks like. You've got your one DDR4 module. And, well, I'm starting to understand why the SSD is small and slow. It's just a 2242, meaning it's 22 millimeters wide, 42 millimeters long. This will not hold a standard 2280. And that Wi-Fi card looks like it's soldered on. It's not replaceable. See where the wires, the black and gray wires behind the USB port, they're going onto a soldered on chip. That's the Wi-Fi chip, so you cannot replace that either. But what a cool looking circuit board that is. I've never seen anything like that. And yeah, I guess if you wanted a full-size 2280, they wouldn't have been able to make it this short. They would have had to have made it longer. Circuit board. And the other side, which we don't normally get into in most cases because it's often all strapped down, that's your CPU underneath that heatsink there. And that's the vents I was talking about on a laptop or a mini PC that get all clogged up with lint. That can affect your cooling ability if you always leave them on. And then you got a BIOS battery right there. So there you go. I wasn't expecting that to just 4 screws and the whole thing comes apart. I kind of like it. I had no idea, so I wasn't prepared. I'm trying to remember how this went back together. Well, clearly, this is the top, and I was expecting this basically to be the shape and design of the bottom. So it was opposite of what I thought I was going to get. And I suppose putting this back together, I should put it back together backwards. So I know that the Ethernet port has to go out here. So if I turn this, first thing is get the orientation straight, and then I can worry about this. This little plastic piece is just that. It's just a little plastic light tunnel, and the light's coming from the LEDs in this tube. So this tube will sit in the track in here, and then we'll align that to how it aligns into the case. So one thing at a time. We'll go to, where's my Ethernet port? It's right here. Okay, so that's going to go in just like this. That's easy. And this piece, I think, fits inside around, let's go back to camera 2. Right around the edge here. I believe it just kind of stays on like a gasket. And then this little clear tube runs in the track like that, all the way around and out the end. See what I'm doing? And then this piece will go down under there. Then this piece, I don't know if it matters if it goes on this way or this way. Yeah, these are not centered, so where do these go? Don't know. I don't see anything indicating the front. It could go on one of two ways. It either goes on like this, or it goes on like this. Whatever way it's not fighting me is probably the right way. And so what I can see now is this little gasket piece just kind of wants to move a little bit. So let me just make sure I've got it seated fully. I'm not missing anything here. Yeah, that looks right to me. Now I'll turn it over and put the screws back in it. Or will I? Trying to remember if the serial number sticker was facing the front of the buttons or if it was facing the HDMI ports on this. I'm guessing I've got it on correctly. Yeah, it's tightening down now. Don't over tighten these. You're just going into plastic, and I don't want you to break the plastic. As soon as you kind of get some resistance on this, again, I'm doing opposite corners just to make sure that I don't end up having one side in more than the other, and then it doesn't sit right and doesn't look right. I think this is the last one. I can't remember which one I put screws in. All right. Just get it snug. Right there. Make sure these are all snug. Good, good. Ooh, that one was really loose. Perfect. Okay, let's plug it in, make sure I didn't break it. Grab my USB for my keyboard and mouse. We'll plug that back on. And then we'll grab the power adapter and plug that back in. Right like so. And then I'll grab my HDMI cable. I guess I'm done with the screwdrivers unless I need to take it back apart because I didn't put it back together right. Let's see, I need an HDMI cable. I'm always standing on it. Plug it into either one of the HDMI ports. And then we'll plug the power adapter back in the wall. And we'll turn it back on. Thought that felt a little weird. I guess it's okay. Okay. And if I hit the lights, I know that RGB is not very bright, which I am good with that, by the way. You can't see it too well on camera with the lights on. So let's see if I can show it to you a little bit better. I wonder if there's a brightness setting in the BIOS. I remember there was a setting for setting the color pattern. And here you'll see it's purple. And it's changing. It's becoming red. And I do appreciate the subtlety of the RGB. Maybe if I hold it against a dark shirt, that'll help. It'd be nice if there was some brightness control. Let me jump over to this output and make sure that it's booted. Oh yeah, it's fine. So out of curiosity, let me go back to the BIOS on this. Shut down, restart. Escape, escape, escape. Oh, I guess I missed the timing on that. Darn it. Time. Second time's the charm? Or will it be the third time? Let's try again. I'm going to just start pressing escape right now, over and over and over again, because it might be looking for it before the video signal appears. Yep. And LED control. Is there a brightness on it? Don't see anything regarding brightness. White, yellow, and blue. Well, it must support NVMe if this is in the BIOS, right? I guess you just have to get a 2242 NVMe. It's not worth it. Secure boot on? I didn't even check. Seems like it's fine. Let's save and exit, and then let's go check and see if secure boot's turned on. Or that if, what I mean to say is if Windows 11 acknowledges secure boot's turned on. Oh yeah, the RGB is definitely changed color on me here. So we know that that BIOS setting is not a placebo. And the colors are very slowly moving between those three colors. It's kind of fading in and fading out. And I can see this is not seated correctly, this corner right here. So I will have to open this up because this is not in the track properly. It's actually kind of barely sticking out right there, which on the other hand makes it really easy to see. But yeah, you've got to be extra cautious when you put this back in that it's aligned correctly. So I'll adjust that because you know my OCD. I'm not gonna live with it like that. That's a 5-minute fix, if that. All right, let's get back over to desktop and check secure boot, and I think that'll probably wrap it up. Let's go back to screen over here. There it is. Okay, we'll just type MS info down here. That's it. Under system information. It says secure boot state is off. This is not a big deal. The way that we turn secure boot state on to get Windows to recognize it is we restart and go back into the BIOS one more time, which I should be getting really good at that by now. Escape, escape, escape. Okay, over to secure boot. Restore factory keys. She's not letting us do that, so we have to change the mode to custom. Then restore factory keys, yes. Restart without saving, yes. When Windows 11 comes up now and we check, it will likely, if I did everything correctly, and who knows, maybe I didn't, but I do believe that's all we need to do to turn secure boot state on. And we're about to find out right now, live, unedited. Should get to our desktop here in a second. And MS info. That's it. Secure boot state on. That's it. It's really easy stuff, guys. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize is you should not ever feel intimidated by the technology. Once you see how it all works, let me turn the lights back on. You probably feel silly about why you thought that that was going to be difficult. The hardest part, I suppose, is getting people to conceptualize what drivers do and how they work and how critically important they are, that you shouldn't be taking shortcuts with them if you care about system security and especially your system reliability and performance. And it's all very simple. Once you identify, okay, I need to get those drivers, I understand why, and I understand why they're so important, we want to know their source. Same would be true for medications. If you're taking life-saving medication where you want to have a good quality of life, I don't know that you want to be buying from some foreign pharmacy to save a few dollars in the hopes that the medicine is as advertised and it meets the strength, you know, without the the government verifying those regulations, you're risking it. And in much the same way, you know, if somebody's business goes down, I mean, people have unalived themselves from the sheer disgrace and distraught that would come over psychologically of losing everything you've worked hard for. And then when you think about it like that, it's worth paying a couple extra bucks to things that are not a novelty in your life. If they're tools you rely on, if it's something you count on that affects the quality of your life, you don't have to buy the most expensive thing. But if you were going to go out on a raft trip and they told you go buy a life preserver, I would not buy the cheapest life preserver at Walmart. You can, no one's stopping you. If the difference is $35 for the cheap one, $70 for the middle, well, let's say $70 for the expensive one, maybe $90. And then in the middle, there's a $50 one. Get the one in the middle, maybe splurge and just get that $90 one. I think you're worth it. That's just my opinion. I just don't think those, when the unexpected happens, and it will be unexpected, you will have a greater chance of survival. That life preserver will likely last longer, won't need to be replaced, even if you only intend on using it once. If you used it once, there's a good chance you're going to need it at some point again. Put it away, buy a good one. Or buy the cheap one every time you need one, throw it away when you're done, and you can buy 4 or 5 cheap ones, and you'll end up spending way more money than a nice one. That's just the way I see the world. I just think there's some things you shouldn't go cheap on. If this is a toy that you want to play with and you don't care if, you know, it's not going to cause you any distress if it's not working, or, you know, that's fine. But if you count on this to communicate with your family and your friends, to pay your bills online, do it right. Make sure you're getting the best performance out of it. Make sure you're not exposing yourself to hackers and etc. for being taken advantage of. Make sure that you keep all your updates installed, and then it's putting all the odds in your favor that the unexpected is less likely to happen. And should it happen, you'll be in a better position to mitigate the damages. So take that for whatever it's worth. Thank you to all the members who made it possible for me to just go out and buy this on Amazon. I think it's a hell of a deal. It's definitely not a rocket ship, but it's also Windows 11 compatible. For all those people that whine and complain about their Windows 10 computers not being able to, you know, because they're 10 years old and they won't work on Windows 11, what am I going to do? They can't come up with $120. Seriously? If that's the case, there are charities that they can apply for that will provide them a computer that's Windows 11 compatible if they qualify for disability or other charitable foundations. They're there to help you. If you're in the USA and you're in that situation where somehow you have the money to pay for an internet connection and somehow you have the money to pay for electricity and food and water, but you cannot come up with any money beyond that to replace a computer that is your life connection to the world, and now you're freaking out about the upcoming end of Windows 10, and you're in the United States and you are not qualifying for your local charity, we'd love to hear that story, because we will take care of you if we can, to send you something like this if you qualify for it. So we definitely don't want to be scammed by people who are just trying to get stuff for free. We want to find people who are genuinely in need. And if you're in the USA, if we can help you, we will. But we need to better understand if it's an actual money problem or if it's just asking people to do stuff for you for free. Because if you're fully capable of doing this yourself, I expect you to. If you're in a situation that you cannot provide for yourself, I'd like to better understand that, how you're being left alone without care and how you're able to pay the bills. Somebody must be doing it for you. And that would be my first go-to is, you know, if this to you is like food and water, it's not expensive comparison-wise to replace it. And it'll be good for the next few years. It's not like you have to do this every month. But again, in those dire situations, we will gladly send a unit to as somebody who's stuck in that position, we want to help you. But we want to see you do it yourself. We want to see you be self-reliant. We're assuming you watch these channels, the videos I make. So you want to be self-reliant. I can't imagine why anybody else would watch this content. But I do understand there are circumstances. And you'll have to reach out to us privately at our email address to explain that scenario. And again, if you qualify and we can help you here in the USA, we'd be glad to. And that's thanks to our members. Our members make that possible. And I want you to remember that, because without our members, this video would not exist. I've had some people say, I don't think it's fair you're only letting the members chat. I don't think it's fair you're watching a video for free. I've had people say, well, I've given money to you years ago. Okay, well, I've given money to a restaurant when I ate there years ago. Should I keep eating there for free? In other words, so I gave you money once, you should pay me back forever. So I have to understand that we live in a world which it does have some entitled folks who don't seem to comprehend that they're still getting to watch the videos for free in return for nothing. And they still find a reason to complain, well, I should be able to chat. There wouldn't be anywhere to chat if there weren't the members. Why would it be fair to say, well, we'll make an exception for you? Then that defeats and insults everybody who's been, supporting us in making the videos possible. Because the next step without the members is no videos. Then you won't have anything to complain about at all, because there won't be content there. So I want some of the viewers who fall in that category, which is not our members clearly, but for the viewers watching this who aren't thinking it's fair, the fact that you're watching this video for free, you're welcome. Because we're not making money from the viewers anymore. We're only making money from the supporters. And that's what's paying for the content. I don't know how other viewers, some viewers think that there's no money involved in any of this and they shouldn't have to pay any, or they paid once years ago, $5, and that should be loyalty for life as far as me paying them back. The ongoing expenses in this, I will talk endlessly about it because I don't think people understand. This is a cheap video to make for $120. And I will do 7 videos this week. That's over $1,000. There's over 4 weeks in this month. That's going to be over $4,000 on top of the expenses. So where does that money come from? It's coming from our supporters. If that money didn't come from supporters, you wouldn't have this video. It's very simple. We don't know who Soayan is. They didn't send us this unit for free. We paid for everything from the cameras and the microphones to the keyboards and the desk to the electricity, all of this. The internet is a very expensive bill. So I do hope the free viewers appreciate that because of the members, they get to continue watching for free. And if you want to interact with me, that is a benefit of support. But that being said, I want to thank our friends over at SCD Keys, who offer us those Windows and Microsoft Office license keys that I use. And we are continuing to have that 30% off. We're seeing fewer and fewer people use it, which might be because of the economy. I don't know. But if we're reaching a point where the viewers aren't really using it, we're going to stop offering it. I just want you to know that too. It wouldn't make any sense for us to continue promoting something people aren't interested in. We'll move on. But what I'm trying to do by providing that is to give you a real source of legitimate license keys that are guaranteed and have support. They have 6 months of included support. And without that, you're guessing. If you're going to Google and you're just looking for cheap product keys, good luck. I can't do that in my business, and I wouldn't offer anything different to you as viewers, members or free viewers, regardless, that would question my integrity, that I play by different rules. No, it's always the same. So if you want to take advantage of that, please do. And if you don't, if we continue to see a decline in that, we won't offer it anymore. So these are the ongoing changes that we have to keep pivoting to. We're not just making videos for free and then having the bills paid by some, you know, I guess people don't think about it. The people that complain. Clearly the members understand. So thank you to all the members, again, for making it possible. And we had a lot of very generous contributions yesterday during our members only, and I can't thank you guys enough, because that has set us up for some more content that I'm very much looking forward to doing, that I didn't think we were going to be able to do this soon. And all that money that comes in goes right back into the channel. The more money that goes into the channel, the higher end and more frequently we can make content. The less money comes into the channel, then the opposite is true. It's real simple. So thank you all very much for hanging out. Thanks to Mara, of course, for joining us. Not for joining us, for doing all the thumbnails and video descriptions for us. And there was the SCD keys thing I was looking to put up right there. And that is the QR code if you want to scan it, or just look in our video description. I'll also put a link, I'll have Mara put a link to the Minis Forum download that we ended up using. And
Okay.
what else did I, so we already have the Amazon link for this. And then I don't know if the HID event filter is part of the Minis Forum package. So if it is, I'll find out. If it is part of the package, I won't include a link separately for the HID event filter. If it isn't, then I will include that link in the video notes as well. Dennis Hill says, thanks everybody, great show. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Andy and Mark Leibowitz, of course, Sean Skinner, John Paul Bacon, Barry Klein. Mark Leibowitz, thank you guys for hanging out. Our friend Buster, of course. And I don't think I missed anything today, did I? No, I think we're caught up. Thanks to our friend Buster and to Frank Jimmy for their Amazon gift card contributions today. Very generous and very much appreciated. So on top of being members, they're also doing that. And that, again, goes back into the channel for more content for everybody to watch. Thank you so much. We will see you all again. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow if things go as planned. I'll pick that server up at Studio A, bring it over here, and figure out what the heck's going on. Like I said, it's just been sitting. I don't know why. All of a sudden, now it's freezing up. And we'll figure that out together. I hope you'll join me at 1 o'clock, as usual, tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday, we're welcoming on a guest we've not had on before. His name is Matt, and he's from Matt's Computer Service YouTube channel. If you've not subscribed to him or seen his videos, he shows a lot of repairs and diagnostics, and I really enjoy his content. I think you will too. So you can check out his channel between now and then you'll know who he is when he comes on Thursday. Friday, we'll finish up our mini ITX build that we started from last Friday, and that's your week ahead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.